That's bullshit. That's bullshit.
That's bullshit.
That's bullshit. Well, hello. Good evening. How are you? Greetings to you all. And good to be here on this wonderful Monday/Tuesday/Monday. I switched the topic, like the title today. I didn't switch the topic to Matt Jablonski and the damage he did to the reptile community. I didn't switch it to that. I did, however, switch it to Monday, off-topic Monday, because I apparently confused the world. Not the 21 motherfuckers that are here right now, but I didn't confuse you guys. But I confused everybody else that was coming along to this podcast, because tonight is a Monday and it's MLK Day. Happy MLK Day. I hope your dreams came true. I hope you at least had them and shared them with people, whether they were, monetary or accomplishments. Otherwise, your hopes and dreams for 2023. Today is the day to just say, you have a dream too. And I did that a few years ago when I had the fish store. I had a dream too on Martin Luther King Day in 2019 is when I announced to you guys that I was giving up my ball pythons and all of that stuff to go pursue my aquatic dreams. And I drown in the process. Isn't that wonderful? So, it's just more experiences to sweep under the rug, so to speak. But they will live on in infamy here on this podcast. 31 of you in here right now. I'm going to give you guys the early bird shout outs. Chris says he came in at 69 minutes. So I hope that you were that early and you beat Shane, who was first, but second, but first, because he's always first. And this second is actually third and whatever. But they're sponsors. Okay, Chris. So Chris does get the first, even though these fools actually paid for their way in. All right, John Lyman, good to have you here. My mate from down under, Lizard Morphs. Hello, hello. Luke Stratford could be heard on a week ago. Well, I'm sorry, a week of 6 days ago on a podcast here on the Off Topic Actual Tuesday when it was actually his Wednesday in Australia. So get that straight. It's Monday right now. Last week it was Tuesday and Wednesday. So we're actually doing Off Topic Tuesdays 3 days a week, it seems. It depends on what area you're listening to them in. Hold back rack. First is a state of mind, and apparently Shane is in that state of mind. Well, you know what? I mean, hey, if you're going to lead with the right foot, then I think he's off to a good start. Aaron, thanks for coming in. Always being here, always cheering me on. Thank you very much. Hit the like, hit the subscribe buttons, smash the notification bell so that Friday, at some time Friday, you happen in on a live interview with Peter Call from like reptile history. Like if you don't know who Peter Call is, then fuck off. I don't even want you on the channel. If you don't know who he is, really, I mean, he's coming to this channel. I just don't know exactly what time on Friday is the most opportune time for him to come. So as this gentleman would say all the time, hit the like, hit the subscribes, hit the notification bell so that you know exactly when, because it could be 1 in the afternoon. It could be 3 in the afternoon. It could be 7 at night. I know I have it right now at 7 p.m. Central Time, but let's just say that this is a fluid operation. Byron Ratliff, good to have you here. Thank you for coming. CEO of Serpents, Morph, Stan, always here to help us out and to promote the podcast with us. Thank you. Conan, good to have you here. Absolutely great. Always good to see you here. PCF, Funny Royals, good to have you too. Try to get through a lot of you regulars. Will, the podcast whore. I don't often call you that, Will, but everybody else calls you that. So now I've been feeling left out. Bosa Balls Jr. All right. Awesome. More of this support. Bods. Wonderful. Love you guys. Thank you for coming by. Mad River, another one of our wonderful sponsors in the house. Redline Pythons. Good to see you here. There's Nicole. Look at Nicole. Look at Nicole in the house. Lady Tiss. Nicole Tisdale. turning it up, asking me to get Tracy Barker on the show like I have some magical power. I mean, she's the woman with the podcast. Fuck. Stop. Do some work already. Stop making everybody else do it for you. Yeah, you'll love that. Quirky, good to have you always. Of course, I'm looking through and I see, who else do I see? Who else? Brandy McGee, good to see you too. And L&M Morphs, I'm going to do like 3 more if I can find 3 more. Arwen, good to see you too. Up, Savage. Savage hasn't been around a while. Another sponsor. And I'm going to leave it off on Matt, the man. Let the fun begin. What I'm going to do before I bring him in is I am going to do my rest of my news, and I'm going to pull up, share this screen that I did. It's the one part I didn't get ready for the show before the show. All right, Reptiles to You, sponsor of the podcast, shipping sponsor of the Ballsh podcast. Reptiles2you.com. Go and hook up with the most advanced, at least the most responsible shipping team that I've ever worked with in the reptile industry. I mean, we might have some more coupon codes coming for you guys here soon, too. I just got to shake Debbie into maybe doing an episode, right? So if you are shipping with Reptiles to You and you do have regular contact with Debbie Price, tell her, unlike Tracy Barker, who doesn't want to hear it, tell her that we need her on this show so that we can do our bit to help everybody. So MorphMarket.com, John Lehman. I saw he was, late to the game, liking some of my posts this week, but I think he's also excited about the potential of having Pete on Friday. So hopefully we can bring that to you guys live and without little interruptions. So check out MorphMarket.com. I've got some more emails to answer back in the last few minutes, and it's always that responsive for me. So, and be sure that you guys are using the rating system properly. We'll probably talk about that here on this show. C-SERPENTS, another fellow Floridian to my guest tonight. Well, he was originally from New York, but I think Florida is actually becoming one of those places like California. Is anybody really from there, or did they just move there? But yeah, Chris moved down from New York to really kick ass and take names in the rack building department, and also to take on the incubator game. So go check out the rack systems and the incubators, unless you're looking for a fine incubator that could serve as a wine rack if you're get out of the ball python industry. And then I think you got to look over at Wilbanks and what he's offering. But I swear to God, it looks like he literally went to China and said, Wilbanks captive bred, make the thermostat work up and not down, and we're good. And they're like, what about the shelves? Should we keep them wood? Yeah, keep the wooden shelves. Keep all that fine. No need to switch any of that. None whatsoever. And then if our clients later on need a wine fridge, then can it still go cool? I would like to know that. Can they go cool as well? Can the new Wilbanks incubators, if Jeff Byers is in the chat tonight, Jeff, would you let us know if we could turn them down and we can turn them into hibernaculums as well? Because I think that would be a tremendous feature of the Wilbanks incubators, because they look absolutely innovative and just completely cutting edge. That would be amazing, right? I mean, I think my guest might actually agree with me on that, because I think as one time or two in his life, he's probably needed a hibernaculum when he didn't need an incubator. Imagine that. They're the complete opposite seasons. Oh yeah, they do. Look, Roger Kramer says new incubators go down or cool as well. Right. Yes, they can, Sean. So you know what that means? He actually did go to a wine fridge maker in China and say, put my name on that exact product. Thank you. So yeah, awesome. I love it. All in the chat. The chat's delayed, 4 S's. The chat is delayed. Okay. I'm sorry. I wish. I heard they cool and heat. See, they're just like everybody's blowing up. I heard they do that. That's right. But just in case, right? Because some reds need warmer temperatures. But that's it. All right. I'm not busting balls. It's a fucking incubator, guys. Go buy it or don't buy it. ExoticsByNature.com. I mean, Exotics by Nature on MorphMarket. Don't go to ExoticsByNature.com. That site's not even finished yet. Go check me out. I got like 175 animals for sale, 173, even though I knocked off like 30 something yesterday. That was a good day. USARC.org. I hope that we can continue to fight the good fight. Otherwise, we'll be knocking off a lot more than those numbers. Bravo Zulu. Good to have you here as a sponsor, as a continuing sponsor through the new year. Thank you very much for sponsoring the podcast. Ectothermic Dungeon, Jim, thank you a lot, as well as Nathan Granoff from Infinite Possible Pythons. Thank you also for supporting the podcast. And I saw you did a show and you had all your banners flying And it makes me want to rebuy banners, bro. Your banners make me want to rebuy my shit. I don't know why. I don't like that because I only bought them once. Mad River. Uh-oh. Are you booked? Are you going? It's a few months away, but who's planning to be at Tinley? We'll be there. Oh, you're going to be there with Crabtree's Constrictors. All right, well, go hit up my boy John Woodruff at the Crabtree Constrictors booth in Tinley in March and tell him, hey, say thank you for supporting Ballsh, along with this guy, Steve Beamer, who's building a building. He's beaming. It looks like, and what did he post? Like hashtag depreciation. And I posted hashtag appreciate depreciation. I think I spelled appreciate wrong. Maybe I didn't. Yeah, I left out a P. That's it's good Southern grammar for me, right? Anyway, it's looking good, man. I think it's too small. I think that if you pour a slab this thick, that you might as well pour it longer as well. But I'm just saying, maybe the ball python recession's coming and Steve knows. So he built a smaller building. He's going to love that I busted his balls on that, right? Because that's what he said in private chat. He said, I think it's not big enough. And I'm like, bro, it's a little late for that. It's a little late for that. The one part you need to figure out is this part at the bottom. You figure that part out first, and then we move on. Otherwise, you just fucking pour another one next to it. I think I've done that. I've done that twice. I've done that twice here. I've poured another one next to it twice here. So yeah, that's just how it works. That's growth. Savages, and the Savages are opening a new business, a new tattoo shop, and they are so busy and everything that they have decided that they are going to leave a vacancy in the Ballsh podcast sponsorship category for someone who may want it. So, Savages, you still get me chanting your name throughout the month of January with no problems, and possibly into the month of February because I love you both so much. But if anybody else is interested in a sponsorship spot, looks like one might have opened up. So I try not to keep much of a waiting list because otherwise I'd be like, I don't want to look like NASCAR. I'm going to leave that up to the Whole Back Rack podcast. They're going to be looking more like NASCAR here soon. They're like adding a sticker, adding a sticker, adding a sticker, and adding a sticker. It's pretty awesome. Like Ricky Bobby says, Rubbin's racing. So good luck. Shane Kelly, thank you very much for being awesome. Hatching ball pythons when we always used to say you're not supposed to be hatching ball pythons. But thanks for showing it's a year-round sport and with some pretty good looking stuff. So go check out Small Town Exotics. And finally, Strange. This has been a long intro, but I figured I'd get it all out and get as many of you in here as I can. 45 of you in the chat now. Awesome. Ha! Look at this. Dude, we have a waiting list now. What the fuck? You have less subscribers to me and you have a waiting list for sponsors and I don't. God, I got to stop saying your name. It's all because of, no, it's not all because of me. It's look at this. This is going to be a great. Holdback is my number one. Sorry, Sean. Lindsay, I somehow knew that. Yeah, you've made that known before. You didn't need to say it again. You know. And then there's this Matt J guy, which I'm just going to talk about that later. Just bring him right up. What's up, man?
Hey, Sean, what's going on, dude?
You're live with the world with your very first podcast after doing this for like 6 months. You just started, man. I just saw you. You just quit your job. You just spent all that money with ARS like last week, and you filled up all those racks. How does it feel to be a 6-month-old reptile breeder, bro?
It's great.
I'm going to Disneyland. Yeah, I'm going to Disneyland.
Exactly.
Right. I'm going to Disneyland because while my kids are there, I'm going to be at the Anaheim convention next door trying to make some of this money back. Oh, shit. Right. Yeah. So how are you, bro, after 20 something short years of knowing you?
Yeah, I know, man. It's crazy. I was thinking about that the other day. Doing well. First official podcast, which was kind of
first official podcast when this guy, Dennis McNamara, can say Matt is one of my favorite people. Can't wait to finally see his ass on here after all these years, right?
Thanks,
after
Dennis.
All these years. And Dennis,
So
I definitely want Dennis to come on. Knowing that Dennis watches this feels good. It's almost like like justifiable. It almost makes it worth it. Just him alone.
Certainly.
Right? So we met in like 2002, maybe one.
I went back and I looked at my records, and it was either 99, 2000.
Maybe so. Maybe it was 99. I don't even remember. Well, 99 was Orlando, right? In Orlando, I was a vendor that year, and I don't think I met very many people that year. And so, yeah, it was the next year. Then it was 2000 then, when Mike Beebe from New Orleans and all them went on a plane, and Johnny LeBlanc, Johnny LeBlanc, who is one of my favorite frog people. Okay, right. But Johnny is extreme. Like, how do you be? I hate to say extremely homosexual because that's like a really, it's like you're either homosexual or you're not homosexual. You're not an extremely homosexual, right? Johnny is very flamboyant, right? And so his nickname was Johnny the Frog Fairy in New Orleans by Mike Beebe and them. And I remember him being like, Sean, you have to meet Bill Schwinn. And then Bill, he introduced me to Bill, and I meet you. And then ta-da! And you marry my sister, and then it's done, right? I remember who that was that was like, who was that? Out. It's like Don Hamper or one of the old guys who was so hung up.
I can't remember.
Maybe it was Mark Bell. It was somebody by your tables over there under the overhang.
I know.
And they were like, is that your sister? And they kept like bothering, like, is that your sister? And I'm like, no, dude, I don't have a fucking sister. And so from then on, Matt Jablonski's wife. What is your wife's name? I forget her name. My sister's name.
It's Claire.
Remember Claire. Yeah, Claire.
Yep.
Claire was like, oh, hey, bro. I'm like, all right, I guess I'll play along with it now. Yeah, running joke.
Right.
So yeah, it's so nice to have you here. I mean, you're so more deserving than half the people that have been on this fucking rag.
Oh,
really.
come on.
You really are.
Yeah,
you're more deserving than me. That's for sure.
I'm not big on the hey, everybody look at me, kind of thing. But I thought it'd be fun to do because we got some good history. I think
the best herpers are the modest ones, though, dude. Like the best herpers are the modest ones. Even the modest ones that like go and open things like Iguanaland. And you're being like, how is he exactly modest with something so non-modest, But I mean, like you end up seeing these people and meeting them, and like the grain of the ones that are quiet, those are the ones. Like, hey, look, next Tuesday, Jason Hood. There's another one that's like, what the fuck, bro? Like, what? Somebody needs to make this guy like more of a thing. So yeah. What was your first? That wasn't your first year vending? Was that your first year vending? Wayne's show?
No. My first year with Wayne's show was in '94 in Orlando, and then in '95 I was able to get tables, and that's when we set up for the first time.
Shit! Okay, so you were there the first year I was there. Oh my god, your first year vending was my first year there, bro. This is like I'm glad your hair is different colored than mine. I really am glad. Like, I don't feel like I was going to tell you earlier, bro, I think we look the same, but I think you should have like hair colored for men before the show.
Yeah.
But I mean, really, like I get a hair colored for boys. Mine's much darker. Mine was much brighter than. And
you're a little younger though. Don't worry. It'll start turning gray.
Yeah. Wow. I think it's just going to go from this to slightly darker to just fucking catching on fire, and burning my brain out. That's it. So wow, I can't believe you were a vendor in 1995.
95. Yep.
Wow.
Every year. And
you guys.
The only year I didn't vend was what was it, 3 years ago when COVID really hit. My mother super susceptible, so we just like went, no way, dude, we're not doing this. I
was
sold
your
a
only
table
year
to Jeremy
missing.
Bod. Oh well, I was there on Friday and I had like crazy good sales set up, so I made serious bank and just drove home that same day and called it good, because I didn't want to take any chances, especially because my mother's so high risk. I was like, we're going to avoid this bug as much as we can until we see how things shake out. And so I still went to the show. I saw everybody hung out with Chad and Dennis and those guys for a few hours and then bolted. And Jeremy Bod got one of the tables, and I think Dennis and Chad got the other table and used it up, and it was good. I mean, those guys, they did well with it. And I just thought, I didn't really take the year off, if you will. I just didn't vend on Saturday and Sunday.
Didn't vend there to be for the exposure, for the exposure.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, I had that long run for a long time, and then sickness broke it for me. So I can understand that. Just in general, having to miss a show and not having. It's almost like I made it a life's mission to make Wayne's show every year since I started it. And then the year that I couldn't, the summer that I broke my back and I was stuck in the hospital, literally broken fucking back. Like, we won't even teach you how to ride in a wheelchair yet. I'm like, fuck, I can't even get out of bed yet. I'm like, I'm not even that point. It was like missing that year was like twisting a knife. And then after that, they were just easier to miss, and it was just like, fuck. I almost felt like I missed one so I can miss them all. I hate to say it like that.
Yeah,
but it felt like dirty. I felt like I wasn't part of it. I was like, oh, fuck you guys. You made it and I didn't.
Yeah.
And I've tried for 18 years and fuck. I didn't like
you
I
get
was just
institutionalized with it, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kind of exactly what it is.
It's just we keep doing it.
Institutionalized with it.
I have a great time with it.
That's a good way to put it. I mean, honestly, I think you just shrank like the populace of reptile fucks. I think you really did. I think you really just went whoop, and just shrunk us all into one little group of people that have serious coping problems,
mental problems. Exactly.
Yeah.
We're hoarders. We're all hoarders, man, at some level. So, going back on that, the way we met was I had dart frogs on the table from Bill Schwinn.
Right.
And you were looking for your shop, I guess. And
you
threw a number out there, and I called Bill and I said, does that sound good? And he said, yeah, man, let's do it. And that was like, it was history after that.
Yeah. And, tricolors, bicolors, stuff that Bill bred. And Bill was Bill, a tragic loss in herping.
Yeah.
Another, like, no one's heard of Bill Schwinn. No one will ever know him. A man who literally could just like rub something and have babies fly out of it. Like, I don't really,
he
really
was good, dude.
Very talented. We will have a lot of people on, Matt, that knew Bill, like Doug Beard and other. Doug's coming up soon. Like, I can promise you, Doug's coming on soon.
That's cool.
And I think that would be great to talk about Janie and kind of bring those memories in.
And I had no idea that what happened with her. I was so sad to see that mentioned a few weeks ago, man.
Oh, really? You had? Oh, you were?
Yeah, I had no idea.
Well, everybody just
talked
gets
to her
distracted.
every show and.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been a while now. It's been quite a while. It's not. She wasn't really that involved in the industry though. Like they got in a time when it wasn't this time. Like, people like Doug can't even tell time right now. Right? Like if like literally he's like, hey Doug, what time is it? He goes to look at his watch and his head just went foo. Like that. The whole industry just went. What happened?
Yeah.
I went to look what time it was. And y'all were on like 15 other morphs from now. Like, what the fuck? What? I think at some point that speed that this thing was working at, like, let me figure out this species. Okay, let me get the species better. And then morphs come in, and you're like, it's gone.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, it's blown away.
Blown away. Right. So we met over dart frogs, but they were Bill's dart frogs. But you were breeding Chicoan frogs. You were breeding monkey frogs, right?
Yeah. The Sauvage.
Yeah.
The
tiger legs. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, talk to me about that.
And and let me do just a quick sidebar, because this is something people will just have no clue on. Like Bill, you ever go to Bill Schwinn's place, his house?
I never went.
Did you ever hear the stories?
I heard the stories, but I'd like you to tell me a little bit of your recollection.
Yeah, just a quick little eulogy for Bill, because I liked him and I loved him so much. He's such a great guy, and I'd go to his place. Definitely
one reptile eccentric. So, like, if you know Rob Roy McInnes, if you know people like Tom Crutchfield is a very flamboyant reptile special guy. He's very, very, very few of the old school guys are like Tom. Most of them are more like Bill, and like very introverted. But please. Tell me about his house.
Yep. Yeah. So it was great, because this is, you see these professional setups today. People have these crazy frog systems for their darts, these incredible bioactive setups and these, just ways of raising tadpoles. When you went in Bill's front door, the first thing you noticed was the humidity. You're like, wow, man, it's really humid in this house. Anytime you
there's probably algae growing on the acoustical top ceiling. Yeah. Like unhealthy humidity.
Listen, man.
Unhealthy humidity.
Oh, yeah. He had a bedroom where all of his frogs were in. Actually, 2 bedrooms where his frogs were in. And he had all these tanks and everything going, all of his breeders and doing their stuff. Every surface in his house had Dixie cups on it. Every single one. Depending on the time of year. So, it's funny when you think about it, like this guy, the entire kitchen counter, the table, the windowsill, the side table next to the TV, every single surface had Dixie cups with water and a tadpole in it, because that's how he did it. That's what he did. He could literally have thousands at any given time. And the entire house, he had shelving, and racks, and it was just racked out with Dixie cups, plastic cups filled with tadpoles, one in each, man. It was mind-boggling. And and all the snakes were in his garage. All of his tortoises were out in the backyard. And, you know, people do things a lot different these days. And see, people sometimes still kind of do that. You know, I kind of if we go through my phases of how I kept stuff from when I started to where I'm at now, it's radically different. But it was just wild because Bill just did this thing that was like unbelievable. It's limey. Oh, awesome.
Yeah, bro. I left it up there.
It was just crazy, man. It was just like, this guy's got 1,000 Dixie cups. There was nowhere to put anything. Anyway, so miss Bill a lot. He was a great guy. And frogs, yeah, you know, I don't necessarily want to go too much in the history of me, unless you're going to just kind of blab on about.
Well, look, I'm going to say one more thing about Bill. I asked Bill. I know we got a little bit of a lag, but I asked Bill once about red-eye tree frogs, right? I'm like, how do you do the Calidrius, red-eye tree frogs? I said, how do you do those? Yeah. And Bill said, well, I imported them, and I got a Walmart kiddie pool. And I put a screen over it, like a dog kennel over it with screen. And I put a sprinkler on it. And I put a bunch of moss or whatever in the water. And that's it. And I'm like, what do you mean that's it? And he was like, I just go and take the tadpoles. And I'm like,
that's it.
Wait. Red-eye tree frogs. And he's like, yeah, Agaleichnus, Calidrius. Yeah, red-eye tree frogs. Yeah, no problem. No problem.
It's great.
Just lots of them.
Great.
Just get them in.
Yeah.
Put them in a thing. Hose them down.
Yep.
Baby.
They reproduce like crazy.
And I'm like, $35 a piece. And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, why do you look like you just crawled out of a fucking Dollar General dumpster? Why do you look like, why is that? Why the fuck? You know? Why did any of them look like that? Why did any of them look like that? Why did Rob Roy look the way Rob Roy looked?
Man. Yeah.
Fucking Maddie now. Look at Maddie now. Look at Maddie doesn't give a fuck. I love Matt McInnes, right? Look at Maddie. Maddie doesn't give a fuck. His beard's longer than his fucking sideburns. I don't get that.
Yeah.
I don't understand
like
that.
A wild man.
I fucking don't understand it. You know, they don't give a fuck. But at the same time, though, right? I'll go eat like at Waffle House here. And I'll get to like some friendly conversation with some old man at Waffle House. And it turns out he owns like 15 shrimp boats and he's like Bubba Gump, right? And he's got like fucking $18 million, but he doesn't spend any of it because he hates taxes.
He's at the Waffle
so he's
House.
Just like, yeah, that's it at the Waffle House. Like, what is he doing? He's flipping through his Jegs catalog, highlighting all the parts he's going to order when one day he wants to pay the taxes on the money he's got buried in the yard. He has no money, but he's millionaire.
Not a dime.
Fucking millions in the yard, no money in the bank. So yeah, it's actually kind of funny. It is kind of like a tryst of herpers, right? And you had like Mario and Crutchfield and Van Nostrand and Ray. And then you had all the little nerdy, little quirky, little weird fuckers that didn't talk, that couldn't look at you, couldn't make eye contact, like never ever went to strip clubs because they would never even talk to a woman. That was Bill Schwinn. Like, can you talk to women? No, but I can make frogs fuck like you wouldn't believe. You know? And that was Bill. So funny. I really am glad we could remember Bill.
Yeah, he was like so great, man. Yep, good guy.
One of the obscure people in the world of herpers that when you are. Yeah, you did so much. And when you were in Daytona or Orlando, was just a blip, was a table with no tablecloth, with tubs stacked with turtles and tortoises. Yeah, and frogs. It's just truly passion, like true passion.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, hardcore, man.
So what species? You were working mostly frogs.
We were doing a lot of different things, man.
The original site.
Dude, it's so dated. It's
oh yeah, and that's why we're gonna really zoom in.
I don't think I've touched the site in like 12 years now.
That's fine. I love it. I think it's a way back machine that you're still paying for.
Well, I won't sell it. Yeah, I refuse to give up the URL. I'm like, you know what? The domain is staying with me for now. And
well, that's good.
Yeah,
I'll sell ballpythonmorphs.com to the right person for the right money.
Exactly.
I've owned it for 23 years.
I had an offer from a corporation in China that was actually interested in it because they had some kind of a toy product that they were selling to kids or something. And you know, I told them $5,000. They never heard back. And
that sucks. But for $5,000, it's worth doing. But hey,
yeah. So
we are no longer working any frog species, but we can still reminisce.
Yes.
Waxies.
Yep. So I started with all this in I was at USF, University of South Florida in Tampa. and I was working. I found his pet store with the roommates that I lived with at the time, and we went over there. And yeah, you'll see these pictures are so old.
Oh yeah,
how we
you're gonna bring me down this memory lane while I'm gonna surf through it for people while we talk.
Yep. And I got hooked up at this pet store. The guy was building it out, and I'm like, "Hey man, do you need any employees?" And he's like, "Well, I got one helping me right now, but yeah, I could use somebody else." And I said, "Great, here's my name, my contact." And we hit it off, and that was Wes Couch, and he was the guy that was the bankroll for the store. And me and this other kid were working there, and we were buying from Cal Zoo, from Strictly. We were buying from Southeast Reptile, Joe Fossey in Tampa, because he was right down the road. We can go right.
So
to
Joe
the
is
shop
going to also be on the podcast here shortly, buddy.
No way.
Weeks. Yes, indeed. Talked to him just the other day.
Listen, love him or hate him, I love the guy. You know, some people hate the guy. That's the way this business is.
Honestly, you do any business long enough, you're going to find some fucking solid haters if you're good at what you do. So, yeah.
I've known Joe since that store was open, and that was 93.
Yes, sir.
I think it was 93 when we first started buying from Joe and hanging out. And the stories I could tell being down there, dude, you just can't. I can't even put some of it out here, man, because I'm sure the feds would be.
Well, no, you can definitely you can talk about it. First of all, it's past the statute of limitations.
Yeah,
and,
true.
And second of all, I mean, with animals, a lot of the laws have changed so many times enough to where most of it's not illegal. They have to catch you in process, Holmes. They have to catch you in the process, player. And if they don't catch you doing it, then that's it.
Yep. Well, I would never testify, but
captive bred babies. The year 2000.
Oh yeah. So we really got into the frogs, man, and we were working with the red eyes, tomatoes, the waxy, the choco waxies from Paraguay, the tiger leg, little monkey frogs.
The most known frog ever. This fucking frog.
We had
the most killed frog ever.
Yeah,
the most murdered frog ever. Hey guys, this is the Brazilian rainbow boas of amphibians right here. This is the BRB. This is the red-eyed crocodile skink of amphibians right here.
Absolutely.
The ornate uromastics of amphibians right here. Let me point out a badass thing. But like, hey, they're so beautiful. Yeah, they're beautiful. If you shock them awake in the middle of the day.
Yep, those eyes open up, and it's
and their eyes open up. Man. That's it. But the fact that when they were $35 a piece, that I was giving them to Bill, and Bill told me of his breeding setup, I was like, bro, I don't want to buy these from you anymore.
Yeah, you're killing me. You're killing me.
$35 a piece. Yeah, she didn't go back to Monkeyfrog.
Well, it's funny because we really got into frogs.
Yeah,
and
tomatoes.
We did everything outside, and one of the things. Oh yeah. Tomatoes are great. Dude, those things could lay 2,000-3,000 eggs in a clutch easily.
Yeah, look. And you weren't doing anything you weren't doing crazy like horn frog people do. You weren't hormoning them and shit. Were you?
No, and that's we had a couple of breeders I would never name, but man, they were putting bad intel out there, like, oh, these guys are using luteinizing hormones and whatnot. I said, dude, no way, not once ever.
Well, because I mean, that's what the horn frog guys have to do, right? Like, don't they all?
They have no choice.
They have no choice.
Literally, I can't say I can recall anybody that bred horn frogs without using hormones, man.
Without a hormone, I don't. If anybody ever told me they did it without it, I just shrugged it off as them being a liar. And I just wasn't there for that bang. That was it. I just got I got to see that. I need evidence.
Our greatest success with frogs, and we like the big reveal came years later. You just do it outside in Florida, dude. They go.
You just do it outside in Florida,
crazy, man.
It's exactly what will happen when the Florida snake market's gone. Everybody will be just having frogs fuck outdoors. I seriously doubt that.
You walk. We had walk-in enclosures. We had different species in different sections in our enclosures, and when it wasn't raining, you rained on them, and when it was raining, they went completely crazy, man. I mean, you'd have tomato frogs beating each other to death practically to just amplex and reproduce. And at Wes's house, he'd have anywhere from 5, 6, 7 kiddie pools in the garage, tanks on shelves. I had kiddie pools in the garage on the floor. I mean, it was mayhem, dude. When Claire first came to my house, she, I didn't really talk much about the reptile.
Yeah, right.
And then when she saw it,
she said, yeah, my brother wants to do this.
Pools.
That's what she said. My brother wants to do this. That's what she said. My crazy little brother wants to do this.
Fucking, I need to teach him what's
fucking
up, man.
Claire.
So funny, man.
I wish she would have taught her little brother about that shit. I would have been making that money when y'all first started.
I know. It was so funny. I'm telling you, Sean, it was just ridiculous. And it was kiddie pools everywhere. I had 55-gallon garbage cans filled with water, aging, and just we'd sit in water for a week or 2 or 3, and probably just everything you could do because we're all in city water, and it was just crazy. But the problem that we had was that we produced so many, we couldn't get them out of the water, and we're like, well, what do you do with 4, 5, 6,000 tomato frog tadpoles, right?
Yeah, right. Well, are they carnivorous? Are they?
No, they're not. Nothing we worked with was carnivorous.
Cannibalistic or carnivorous. So that not like unlike the horn frog guys, right? That are dealing with thousands of tadpoles and individuals
trying to kill each other. And
unless you do it the way most of them say to do it, right? Like you have 5,000 in one spawning, and then you let that 5,000 eat themselves to 1,000, and then you feed that 1,000, and then you end up with 750 because the occasional one makes it into the other one's thing, right? And then when I heard a guy actually break that down for me, I was just like, bro, I would love to breed dogs if I could just feed fucking dogs for a while until I got some dogs that were worth selling. I think that would be amazing. Be like, bro, I breed dogs. What do you feed them? Dogs. Well, why do you feed them dogs? Well, because these dogs aren't good enough to sell. So I just fed them back to the dogs to make more dogs until they were good enough to sell.
They get better.
And I'm like, fucking, that's Pac-Man frogs, guys. That's literally the way that the commercialization of Pac-Man and are Pixocephalus the same? Did they do them the same?
I do believe, that they're also cannibalistic. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, no, I know they are cannibalistic, but I didn't know if they bred them the same, is what I'm saying, with the hormones.
Oh, yeah.
If they had the same exact way,
I would think so. Yeah,
like everybody's like, I love my Pac-Man frogs, and they don't realize the
how many it killed to get to that point,
right? If that or the fact that it's like, again, if I'm going to be like Mr. Comparison over here, it's like the English bulldog of fucking like it needed to have it needed all this hormones to make it breed, and then it had to be fed itself for a while because they were too small to eat and too much of a pain in the ass. I it's pretty funny. These guys are
so the thing that we did was we said, what are we gonna do with all these tadpoles? And Wes and I are like, let's just start selling them. So we started selling tadpoles at shows, and people went bonkers, dude. It was just
honestly,
you bag them,
way to do it.
Take it home, and we started shipping them all around the country. I shipped tadpoles to probably almost every state in this country at some point, and nobody was doing it back then. And if they were, I wasn't aware of it, but it was really funny.
He says my place is a hospice for Pac-Man frog. Hey, bro, what do you feed them at the end? What do you feed them at the very end? Themselves, like other ones. Like, hey, we had 14, but we only had 11 cages, so we just put 3 in with the other ones, and we had 11. And
the problem took care of itself.
Took care of itself. Yeah.
So it was wild, man. I'd go to the post office and I'd have 10, 15,
but they
20
so much better.
And,
they
did great.
So much
just
better.
A little bit of water.
Right. The dart frog tads ship better, right? Like I knew guys that were doing it from Germany.
Nice snug.
They were getting them in.
Yeah.
They were smuggling them in. They were smuggling them in the mail.
It worked great. Yeah.
Yeah. Couldn't even ship. Couldn't ship a frog. Couldn't ship a frog overnight successfully with globally successfully, but could globally smuggle them as tadpoles in the mail.
Exactly.
But tads are that resilient
because there's enough oxygen in that bag. Yeah. Right. So 2-3 days in a bag, no big deal. It's like tropical fish. That stuff, the way they oxygenated, I guess, little tiny bit of water, not a lot of water, just a little bit, a lot of oxygen above, and then
there's that toxic ammonia thing, right? What ends up happening is ammonia that's dissolved in water that's had oxygen in, it's been oxygenated in the bag. You open the bag, and when you open the bag, our atmospheres interchange, and the carbon dioxide and oxygen exchange allows the ammonia in the water to become toxic. So you don't if you use an ammonia reducer immediately, like you open the bag and drop an ammonia reducer in, you can get by. But if you don't, that's when the ammonia becomes toxic. I'm sure these axolotl people are figuring it out. God knows these fuckers are definitely figuring. They're like, hey man, axolotls, they breed a lot, right? Thank God they breed a lot because they're in fucking Minecraft. So there's another animal that's fodder for the environment. Mama, can I have a? Will you shut up if I get you one? Yeah, I'll shut up if you get me one. Where is it? It fucking died.
For real.
Oh man, every single time. What happened? Well, it died. Why? He couldn't keep it cool enough. It died. But mom didn't want to spend $150 on a tank. She's not going to spend $700 on a fucking chiller, asshole. You know, like let's take them out of the video game and keep them on the planet. You know, so I bet like
that's my daughter saw one in Minecraft.
My daughter last year put the fucking axolotl squishmallow pillow on the Santa list because of the Minecraft axolotl. And I was like, good girl, Bo. And she was like, oh, I didn't know if you would like that on there because you don't like buying me more of that stuffed animal stuff. And I was like, yeah, but if you imagine every other kid in the world put a real axolotl on the list. You put a squishmallow on the list. Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, definitely. It's a shame when Pac-Man frogs can't find a home because you could feed them like wadded up garbage practically. You know? Anything.
Yeah.
Why are my alerts going like crazy now? Google alerts. We got I turn them off and they still, it's mine. I turn them off in every app I have, and yet they still come on. It's like Google itself is spam. What year did you start keeping stuff? Okay, wait. How? Because we get off on such a 40-minute exciting launch. We're like, let's fucking go. How old are you now? How old are you now? Be honest. Okay.
Too old. 50. Yeah,
you're 50?
51 this March, man.
51. Yeah. 51. You look great for 51.
51 this March.
Oh, okay. 51 this March. Oh, yeah. Soon. 51. Yeah, but you're still 51. So 51 is good. I'm 43 this past October.
No, I'm a little bit right now. Yeah.
Yeah, you're 50 right now.
You're catching up.
I get it. I'm catching up.
You're catching up.
Yeah. But
so is this the proverbial how did you get started question?
Yeah, this is the proverbial how did you get started question because you've never been asked it before. Every other guest on this show has been asked it 100 times, but yeah.
Yep. It's funny, man. I came into this hobby as a kid and people go, oh, that's a load of nonsense. No, really. My mother and father were very supportive. I lived in central New Jersey in a super rural area, man. We lived in the north.
See, nobody's from Florida. Nobody's from Florida.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
Nobody his age
ride my motorcycle. I'd ride a motorcycle right out of my garage into the woods and be gone for hours. I mean, it was a great place to grow up and live. It was horse, cattle, vegetable farms for 20 miles every direction practically. And so I did a lot of time in the woods when I was young. We'd catch hognose, garter snakes, salamanders, and swamps. There was a swamp at the end of my street, and I swear I probably spent more time in that swamp than I did in the house. I mean, anything we used to use the old school box crab traps, and I'd put steak and chicken tied up in them and drop it in the pond. Wait, let it soak for 30-40 minutes, pull it up, you'd have painted turtles, you'd have fish, you'd have all kinds of stuff in there, man. And we'd fiddle around with them, put them back in, and it was great, man. It was a really, really cool childhood. I probably got my first lizards, green anoles, from a local pet store. I was probably about 7 or 8 years old, and I had some fish tanks. And like I said, my parents were real supportive. Really, my mother was just
what was that? Brown anoles?
If this kid wants to do this, just let them go wild. No, they were green. Yeah, green anoles. Before the Browns took over down here, it was and because I was just enamored with them. I was like, look at these things, man. They're so cool. And I go to the pet shop and just stare at them for what.
I mean, really, hours. Hang on.
There's a couple of really cool pet stores.
Stop there for a second. I know we have a lag because of your internet depth away, which is fine for my interruptions. It's probably really good. But I would like you to just stop for just a second and appreciate the fact that our first reptiles, mine and yours, were green anoles, and that they are fucking awesome little lizards. So like beautiful. If you observe them and you watch their attitudes and stuff, like anoles can be insanely interactive. And when you're young like us and you're in the South and you either don't have money or you don't have parents that are conducive to this hobby or a lifestyle that's conducive to this hobby, right? Which a lot of inner city kids don't here in New Orleans, right? Like they don't have a life to that.
See it,
but they see anoles, right? Because they have them on the fence, bobbing with their lap, with all of these things that are like unique to lizards. Like geckos don't do that shit. A lot of them don't do that shit. A lot of lizards don't do that shit.
I mean, they turn and look at you.
They turn and look at you. They bob their head. They recognize species. They do the dewlap thing on the male, right? Like they have all. They don't have a prehensile tail. They don't have that, but they do have iguana feet and all that. Like there's so many things about this little bitty lizard that I think that when we were younger, to be able to start that fascination, it wasn't like some of these people are simply, I got out of the Marine Corps and my bro had a pair of ball pythons and he bought a car with the babies from them. And that's their story. And
now I'm a ball breeder. Yes.
And now I'm a ball breeder. And now I second mortgaged my wife's grandmother's inheritance house for the ball python game. And I am going to make, and we have stickers and I have t-shirts and
swag, baby, swag.
Right. And there are so many cool anole species, Limey. I'm going to be adding some. Look at Ron St. Pierre now.
Oh, yeah.
Those,
look what Ron's
canopy,
doing, dude. Yeah.
Those canopy gems in.
Absolutely nuts what he's doing. Ron is off the chain, just running with it, man.
Definitely getting him here too soon.
Yeah, for sure, man.
That's going to be sure. He's on my list of 2023 bangers for the year. Yeah, you were on that list.
Nice.
You were on that list.
Thank you, sir.
That list.
Yeah, so that was the start of it, man. It was like,
thank you.
You know, it was the green anole, and then it was curly tail, Haitian curly tails. I kept. I had mountain horn lizards. I kept native.
Was that all wild caught like Greg Graziani shit?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god! Oh my god! We need to stop these people shipping reptiles everywhere on King Snake and MorphMarket, and they're gonna ruin the world.
Oh my fucking god!
You know, I'd catch baby stink pots and raise them up for 3, 4, 5 years. Let them go.
But they lived there. They were native to there.
Oh yeah,
they were native to there.
Oh yeah,
but you were catching tons of shit that weren't native to there. That was the most fascinating thing about you guys. You guys were catching savanna monitors, not from Africa. I mean, they were from Africa, but they made a stop in Florida at a pet shop, and then they made a stop in the Everglades for a couple of years, and then they made a stop back in your collection again.
Yep.
Dude, bizarre.
So that was the spark. Tons of fish tanks in my bedroom. I had just all kinds of crazy stuff.
Right, but I think it's important that you say that there were wild shit then there.
Oh yeah.
Then. Yes. Guys, yes. Did you ever listen to my Graziani podcast I did years ago? I don't think you did. You probably
I don't think I did.
Greg and I talked, and he took out Dave Kaufman and did it with me. And he took out a photo album of all of his stuff, and he went through 50 something species of exotic reptiles that were all animals he caught in the 70s in Florida. Loose.
Wow.
And it was savanna, Nile monitors, mangrove monitors. Like the everything. Shit he had more shit in that thing than I had in a pet store I worked in in the 90s.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. So I think that everyone listening to this podcast right now is January of 2023. We've been fighting the Everglades nonsense for a good 7 years, 8 years. I don't know, a good bit of time now. And it was there 40 some years ago when this dude was a kid.
Long time, man. When you get Ron St. Pierre, he's going to tell you stories that are crazy about that stuff, dude.
And that's what I want to hear. You know, look, and here we go. Mad River, sponsor of the podcast. Wow. My first reptile was a green anole.
There you go.
Thank you for chiming in there. You know, so I think it's it's special to recognize the fact that some of us didn't just buy a snake or get a reptile from a store, that we did have to catch our own stuff and keep it.
Oh, yeah.
And some of us, like me, had to keep it, watch it for a day, let it go. Right? Like that was it. Yeah. Chris Grease, same thing.
Box turtles.
Green anole in 2000 at 7 years old. Now, you know, Chris, you're a young guy. You got your whole life ahead of you. Here's us two old fucks saying
he's just a baby. Yep.
We met the year you got your first green anole, bro. So there you go. I hope you named it.
Bingo.
Matt and
But
Sean.
It's great. It's cool.
That's it. Name him Matt and
It's
Sean.
Yeah.
But that was such a fun time.
That was the start of my career. Yeah. I was always enamored with this stuff. I just couldn't get out of my head. Dinosaurs, fish, lizards, turtles, snakes. And my mother wouldn't let me keep snakes. So once I moved out, I went to school in Virginia for a couple of years. And then I moved to Florida after that. And as soon as I hit Florida, it was like, bang on, dude, we're getting snakes at this point. So I got my first ball python as a imported captive hatch baby that was actually feeding, because it was like double the size of the other babies in the same tank.
Right.
And I thought, I'm going to pick that one for $60, you know? And that was in 1992. And I've still got him. He's still in this room in a rack, just hanging out. I feed him. I don't breed him with anything anymore, but, you know, it's like, that was my very first snake ever. And I would never, ever sell it. I mean, it stays for life.
That's pretty awesome that you have your first snake, bro. Like my first snake died of an internal issue
right down there,
years ago. But the fact that a ball, this is how hardy a ball python is, guys.
Yep. Yep.
This
hey,
is how
even on top of that,
you know, I mean,
listen to this as a sidebar. I got a adult female normal from a buddy of mine. And I want to say it was, I don't have the numbers in my head right now, so I'm going to kind of stumble on this, but it was probably about 16, 17 years ago he gave it to me. And he had her for like 15 or 16 years. It was a 5-foot adult when he got it. Do the math. It was, she was,
I got a lot when I started. Same thing. I got a lot like that when I started.
38, 39 years old. Yep.
Probably still
and so we figure she was probably she died last year. I would say she died last year. Natural causes. She was just old. She couldn't. She could barely eat.
She couldn't hold weight anymore.
Stick her head in the water bowl to drink.
Golf.
No, exactly. Her,
it
was just, you could tell like this snake it's geriatric. So we figured it was probably just under 40. So think about that, folks.
Yes, indeed.
And there you go. River Rat
Reptiles. Jared Peters, River Rat Reptiles. Patreon sponsor.
Boys Life. Yeah,
says he ordered the first
Boys Life magazine.
His first one's out of Boy Life magazine in 1990 or 1991. That was actually probably from Louisiana, from a guy that was down here catching them and selling them. He would do that. He would. Yeah, the guy that was wholesaling them to everyone. He was here. You know, I mean.
Well, when you get Joe Fossey on, that's what he had guys. That's all they did. They'd go out every night and catch 200, 300, 400 anoles.
Oh, he knew the guy that was here.
Shops, feeders.
Yeah, he knew the guy that was here.
Yeah. It's so funny, man. Yeah, Joe knows everybody. You guys are going to have so much fun talking. It's going to be ridiculous.
Yeah. It's going to be great.
So that was basically the once I moved out, was on my own. I was living in an apartment complex in Tampa with these 2 other hooligans, and we would just go to pet shops and we'd find cool animals and we'd get a tank, set them up, and we did all tanks back then. You didn't have rack systems. You didn't have
no commercial.
You didn't have anything like we've got today. No.
And Vision was the first thing to come out, and even when you could get Vision, they were West Coast, and freight was something that we never would have paid for as herpers.
Exactly.
I mean, herpers were like at a point. Herpers were where freshwater people are, and the rest of the world now is where saltwater people are. They're like, what computer do you have that'll change my water and do my shit for me? And you're like, what?
Make it easy.
I just had to make a light, motherfucker. I just had to build my own goddamn filter out of it. I had to make a canister filter out of an old sock.
Exactly.
And,
and that's what people don't realize, man. It just wasn't there, and everybody did things so radically different. I was hatching snakes and tortoises and hoverbaiters.
Necessity is the mother of invention.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, I was using hoverbaiters, and when the wafer went bad and wouldn't work anymore.
The wafer.
I'd stick a helix on. I'm like, all right, I saved up enough money I can buy a helix. Now I got a helix on a $35.
But the fucking wafer works better. The wafer was faster.
It was
the wafer was better.
I tell you, I hatched so many things in hoverbaiters, sulcatas. We would hatch hundreds and hundreds of sulcatas out of hoverbaiters, man. That's all you did. You just set it on 88 degrees and let it sit there for 3 months. And
speaking of, I was just talking about rare gecko species the other day, and I was like, somebody hit me up asking me for giant frog-eyed geckos, and I was like, bro, nobody's asked me for Teratoscincus kaiserling eye in a long time.
Long time, dude.
And it's a rare fucking gecko, and you cannot find them, bro. You cannot. And they asked me, they were like, well, somebody pointed me in your direction because they said that you used to mess with them a little bit. And I was like, yeah, I did mess with them a little bit. Me and Scott from Texas Lizard Connection were the first people in the world to breed them. Back in 1999, the very first year that I showed up at the show as a vendor in Daytona, is one of the animals we had at the show was a baby Teratoscincus kaiserling eye, and we hatched him in a hoverbaiter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I did. I hatched him in a hoverbaiter. But I had to put them in a container with completely dry perlite. I was incubating ball pythons at 89, and somebody was like, bro, those geckos come from a hot fucking area in Persia and stuff. It's hot. He's like, where'd she lay it? Because you never bred those things, I'm sure. But whenever we had them, we
kept them. Yeah.
And so many people weren't breeding them, and they weren't having success.
I know. They were
so tough, you know what? This was our setup. I'm going to tell you our setup. Was a melamine. Remember that company was making the sliding glass front melamine cages, but they were made in a stack. You bought one stack, and it was like 4 of them all in one, like a bookcase. Like now it'd be like IKEA. It'd be like a DIY, right? You had
them, dude.
Right, you had them. So they had the heat light fixture on the one side with the bulb. Yeah, you fucked up. You should have put them in there. I put them in there. All right. I put them in. Let me just pull this up for all these ball python assholes that have no taste of reptiles.
Yeah, there they are.
This is it right here.
Dude,
Like this
cool.
This is one of Scott's pictures. Austin Reptile Connection right here. Teratoscincus kaiserlingi, like a bulldog.
So cool.
Sitting up like a fucking angry. Look at them all. Look at the stance.
So cool.
How they stand when they're mad.
Yeah.
And guys, I want to tell y'all something really cool about this species. The scales down the tail. Yeah, they bite like a motherfucker. They hurt like a bitch. They bite hard and they're mean as fuck. The scales here are single scales on the tail, and the animal undulates its tail like this, and they hiss like a snake. It makes hissing sound constantly.
Oh yeah.
It just.
You're like, what the hell is
and you're
this
like,
thing?
what the fuck? It's hissing at me. Its ass is hissing at me.
Yeah.
What the fuck? I mean,
really
it's such a cool gecko. And when they're born, they're actually banded black and yellow. Nobody knew that. Nobody knew when they were when the baby Kaiserlingi is a hatchling, it is banded. It's not. It looks like a bumblebee.
Kind of like a leopard
anything.
That banding.
Yeah, I'm scrolling. Like nobody even has a photo of a baby.
Nah.
You know, like it's so.
It's gone. Even the internet can't. Yeah, even the internet can't hold on to
machine, help me.
You can sort of see it there in the regular skinkus because that's not the Kaiserlingi, but the Kaiserlingi. No,
but yeah, I see what you're saying. The banding there. Yeah.
Anyway, we hatched it in a hovabator because we were incubating ball pythons in the hovabator, and my boss was like, "Bro, I don't know about these gecko eggs and that humidity," because this is how she laid them. We were using Carib Seas when it first came out. Their calcium sand that was super powdery, like when you dive your finger in it, it would come out and look like you were using like mineral, like you just stuck your finger in a mineral bottle. Yeah, it was that dusty. We had a 3-inch water bowl on the cool side of the cage. I had a 25-watt heat light spotlight screwed in that little fixture, and we had the rheostats, the dimmers on the side. Remember?
Yeah.
The rheostats on the side. I tweaked the rheostat where the surface of the sand was like 90, and she raked all of the sand under the heat light and laid the eggs on top of the sand.
That's your sign.
And then went right. And so I was bizarre. No laying box, no burying, nothing, no nothing. Like, I'm going to put these fuckers under the sun and they're going to hatch.
It's going to be hot, bro.
Right. Well, like, that's why you look at like House of Dragons on HBO and you're like, oh yeah, they learned how to do it. You know, whatever the dude that created, you know, one of my, you know, the show. Fuck.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah. The guy, the crazy that George R. whatever the fuck his name is, created Game of Thrones, was probably a frog-eyed gecko breeder. We figured like gotta incubate them like dragon eggs. You gotta breathe fire on the fucking thing. You know, and when I showed up at the show in Daytona, that was the show I posted from the other day, that picture of me from the other day. On every, you saw that picture, and I know it probably brought you back.
With the hair?
Yeah, with the hair.
With the center part, man. The classic center part.
Are you serious? Like, we know they saw this, right? But we're going to show them anyway. This show, 1999 Daytona, Orlando, not Daytona, the year before Daytona, Orlando show. Behind me on that table, I had those little Kaiserlingi geckos, and that's the day that I met Scott and Nathan Hall at that show too. I met them at that show, and Scott said, "Bro, did you breed these?" And I said, "Yeah, we did. We're the first ones, I think." And he was like, "You should come by my table later and talk about it." And I went to his table and he had some too. And they were the same age. And we had turned out that we'd hatched them in like the same week. And I was like, well, we either knew what we were doing or we both got gravid females from the wild.
Yeah.
Posthumously, I think we both like to believe we knew what we were doing, but I'm not sure. Just get females from
well, that's a similar story with Egyptian tortoises. We were one of the first. Yeah, we were one of the first in the U.S. to hatch those things, but it was because
Testudo, was that Kleinmani?
Yeah, they were coming in gravid, and we were buying these things, and we knew nothing about them. You know, we'd set them up in these 40-gallon, or they're like it's like a 20 low, like a real shallow tank, but you know, kind of long.
20 long. You
know, big heat lamp, sand, you know, this kind of stuff. And you know, we're incubating them, hatching them out, and looking at these babies are like the size of your thumbnail when they pop out. And you go, it's never gonna live. It's too small. Like, you know, these eggs are tiny, and this tortoise is so tiny, it's unbelievable.
Yeah,
man.
they were like little.
Yeah, they were really cool animals, man.
We caught one. We caught one in 1998 in Orlando.
No way.
We caught a freaking 3-inch Kleinmani out of the corner of my boss's eye. She sees something. And literally, it was in the bottom of the Radisson. They had those in the lobby. They had those big planters. It had crawled behind the planter, and she ran over there and picked it up. And she's like, "I found a fucking $1,000 tortoise!" And nobody claimed it. And she was like, okay, it's Matt Tortoise. And she took it home. She took it home.
Cool
and she bought a few more. Very cool species. I never had the balls or the money to buy them.
Yeah,
but you were a tortoise nut. You're not me.
Yeah.
I played with the tortoise thing for a while. I played with the tortoise thing with you for a while. With elongateds and stuff.
For sure, man. Yep. That's the first species I ever hatched. The first species of reptile that I ever hatched were elongated tortoises. You know, I had a whole bunch of other stuff.
And isn't that funny how they were common and shitty and not and then they became an incredibly rare and incredibly hard to find tortoise.
Yep. Absolutely.
So what other tortoises have you fooled with? Let's talk about
so
that. Went down the frog road.
Yeah. So tortoises. So tortoises, we got elongateds from this guy Robert Allison sold his whole collection to us. We bought all of his adults, and so it was kind of turnkey. They were still in breeding and laying mode, and we set these eggs up, and we're hatching them out, and it was just super cool, man, and holding stuff back, and
such an overlooked species, like so many other species of tortoise. I mean, people don't realize how many hundreds of species of tortoises there are.
Yeah,
maybe not hundreds, but there's
there's a lot of variety.
There's
and you know, people go, "Well, do you work with redfoots?" I go, "No, man, because everybody's got them." I don't dislike redfoots, but everybody has redfoots.
This is the awesome
I wanted
alternative.
Something different, man.
This is a great alternative to that.
You know, and everybody I know that's kept this species has said the same thing. And I told them, I said, "Look, man, they can take it crazy cold. They can take it blistering hot, dry, soaking wet. It's literally an indestructible animal." Now, I'm not recommending you put it out and try and freeze it on purpose, but what I'm saying is they will thrive almost anywhere in the country. Even in our northern states, you can keep them out. And, you know, if it's
they're not an ugly tortoise either.
I love them, man.
I don't think they're ugly at all. I keep going back to this orange phase female in this picture.
I've still got her, man. And she's still just this burnt orange. Yeah, she's great, man. And she's not
give me an adult. Give us an adult size with your hands, right?
About the size of an overinflated football. So you're talking about straight line, maybe just a little bit smaller than adult.
Like 14 inches, maybe. Yeah, so 12 to 14 inch. Yeah,
great animals, man. And you don't need crazy UVA, UVB. They're not like a sulcata that needs to have
and they're a testudo, right? So they're not a Geoscialone tortoise, guys. Exactly. So they're a testudo, which means they do consume animal protein and stuff in the wild. So that
if I have rats that haven't been eaten by a snake, it goes right out to them.
Really?
And down the
down the
hatch,
that's
dude,
fucking disgusting.
Oh, it is. It's brutal.
I haven't dropped a lot of F-bombs on this show tonight because you asked me not to, but that's fucking disgusting.
Yeah,
son.
It is gross, man. Yeah, you see, it's like Walking Dead, man. They're pulling the guts out.
I can totally imagine that. I'm only thinking of the Walking Dead featuring testudo tortoises right now. That's fucking gross, bro. That's fucking gross. That's so gross.
They go crazy on it.
That sounds
and it's natural. Like that's if they find carrion,
I know it's natural, bro. I know it's natural.
Vegetables, greens, you name it. And rats and mice,
half the killer animals on Earth will just stop at a carcass to feast on a free meal if you let it. So I mean,
even sulcatas will. A sulcata will eat anything that it can get just down the hatch.
Not good for it necessarily, but
you got to be careful. That's why.
You'd imagine they would eat a lot, though, right? Though in the wild, they would eat a lot of that. No,
sulcatas or elongateds. No, sulcatas. So where sulcatas
I know
where sulcatas come from is bleak. So they have a very short period where they can actually graze. And rehydrate and do the thing.
Never really looked into their natural.
Yeah, and then it gets bad. And then they're basically they'll estivate for 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12 months, depending on how bad the dry season is. They'll basically check out, and that's it, man. They'll stay underground as long as they can.
And you're done with sulcatas as a species?
Yeah, I still have a huge trio. You know, like
I was gonna say, you still got that girl that needed that stomp that I was gonna get from you before I got hurt. Because before I got hurt, we were talking about that.
Yeah,
right. Literally right before I broke my back, we were.
Yep, that was Lucille.
Trying to work that out.
Evil, man. Yeah, Lucille's crazy, and I
she
just
lays
can't.
How many eggs?
Oh yeah, like insane numbers. But I can't get rid of them. But I can't produce them anymore because of all the problems you see, all the defects, all the deformed shells, beaks. You know, people just not taking care of them. They fed it dog food its whole life, and the shell
really
terrible. Man.
Just the overall size in general is dissuasive to be breeding them. And you know what's sad for me, and again, I'm not going to sit on I'm not soapboxing.
Yeah, same here. And I'm not
soapboxing. You're not soapboxing.
Nope.
But my friends
not for me though.
My friends own the local pet store here in the area where I live. I won't mention the name of the store, but
that's fine.
They breed them at their home and they sell the babies through their store.
Exactly.
And I am always, dude, I can't tell you how many people, when I owned the aquarium store, Matt, for a few years, people got wind that like, oh, the new store over there is owned by the guy with the reptile thing. Oh, let's bring our reptile and ask him what he thinks of what, so we don't have to bring it to the vet. And I bring in me tortoises and I'm like, fuck.
It's just another problem.
But look, Ross Farms smashed that like button. He says smash that like button. And I want you to tell you, this dude sat there on my Instagram the other day and smashed every fucking post that I've made, that we've made.
Forever.
And thank you. Forever. Well, I mean, it's not that many posts. It's forever's been since like so I would say forever's been since this summer when I restarted, Matt, but it's really been since last summer when I said I was restarting last summer. You know, you like how I faked everybody out for a solid year. So then when I came back to it, they were like, yeah, he's going to do like 2. And you know what I was going to do? I was going to do like 4, but then my old friend, the podcaster, and this other punk ass podcaster decided to give me some static over it. So I decided to do 2 of them a week and have fun. Man. Because you know what, Matt? We know a lot of people, bro. Me and you, we know a lot of motherfuckers, man. And the funny thing is there's people in the last few weeks that have been talking a lot of shit about me that have less snakes than I have right now. Much less snakes than I had when I had snakes, motherfuckers. I'm retired now and still with the little room right there. This room was a boa room, that room was a boa room, that was a ball python room, a corn snake room, a gecko room. Now it's all in that room. It's all in one little room. So how big is your collection now, sir?
Not a lot, man. As far as tortoises, you know, I've still got elongateds.
Stay on that. And
we'll finish up with the tortoises. So I've still got the elongateds. I've got radiata that are 20 years old and finally laying eggs, but they're still infertile. So I'm like, come on. And people go 20 years. I'm like, yeah, it's been 20 years. You know, that's what you do. That's how this works, man. It's like if you get Galops and Aldabras, 20 years is what you're looking at.
You want me to disappoint you? I just sold my pair of Berm stars.
Really?
At 10.
Nice.
Sold them at 10.
I
sold them at 10 years old because I had somebody wanted to pay me great money for them. And I bought 7 and I sold 1 and I had 5.1.
Ah, jeez.
So you know what that said? That said it. You know what? That was the gods of Gila monsters, 5.1. The gods of Burmese star tortoises, 5.1. If I have less than 1.2 cycluras when I sex them this year, because I probed them when they were babies, and Rob Roy showed me how to probe them, and they seem pretty goddamn easy.
Nice.
Doesn't seem like I should mess that up. I don't know if you're a probe cycluras before, but
no, I haven't.
It seems pretty easy. Like it seems like about easy as probing a Burmese, like I did a python. I mean, it's like snake probe.
Check it.
Green iguanas too. I'm gonna check them again, but now they're freaking 3.5. I have Lewisai hybrids.
Oh, nice.
So cool. Now they're 3.5 feet, and they're starting to get color, and they're all tame. Well, they're not tame to my employee. They try to kill me.
Well, but that's your employee, you know.
No, she feeds them.
Yes, if they're tame to you, it's good.
She feeds them. That's the idea. I don't take care of them. So, tortoise wise, do you still have the pancake stuff?
You know, I don't. I actually I moved that colony to a buddy of mine, and
now they're impossible, right?
I know. Well, you know, pancakes go through cycles of they import tons of them and the price falls through the floor and they're worthless again. And I shouldn't say worthless, but they get really cheap. And then they stop importing them and they get crazy expensive again.
Right.
And you know, I've got a good friend up in Gainesville, Dan Pierce, and I might try and work something out of him in the next couple of years when I've got a little more room here, and say, come on, Dan, let me get a trio from you, you know, something to just fiddle around with, because that's a great tortoise species. They're small, they're easy to keep, just need really intense lighting.
As fuck. They love climbing.
Dude, they're so funny.
You can give them a full bioactive desert type setup.
They go bonkers, man.
And
really cool. And
have them crawl everywhere.
And the key with them is their egg goes through a diapause. So you basically, what we did was we took deli cups and we would put vermiculite in, mixed 1 to 3 by weight with water. So it's kind of on the dry side. You put the egg in, so just the top is exposed, and you sit it on the floor at low 70s and you let it sit there for about 4 or 5 weeks. And then you put it in an incubator at 88 to 90 degrees. And within a week or 2, bam, you get the blood ring. So I actually have pictures of the blood ring on there under
pancakes. You had to actually activate them.
Yeah. If you go to for pancake size and reproductive data and scroll down, and I think at the very bottom, where do I have it? I had pictures of the blood ring.
There it is.
No, that's baby Pippin. Let's go back one. Oh, go up again, up to the top. I'm sorry, I'm looking funny here. Click on that one. Is that the page it's on? No, there you go. There you go. So this was kind of fun to do, to take those pictures. So if you click on those eggs, you'll see the actual blood ring, and that's the baby. That's not, I shouldn't say that's the baby. The baby's in the center of it. So if you go to each of those pictures, you'll see as it progresses. See, there you go. There's the tortoise right in the middle. And if you go back to the previous picture, yeah, there you go. So, see the baby? So that's actually the tortoise right there.
Okay.
And super fun stuff to do, man. Really cool species. A lot of fun to work with.
You had to activate the eggs, though? You have to activate them?
I don't, it's debatable if you have to, but it seems like it works.
It's a fucking baobab seed, bro. If an elephant doesn't eat it and shit it out, it doesn't become a big tree. I'm sorry.
I mean, everybody I know that's been very successful with them. We all did a diapause. Everybody put the eggs on the floor, let it just sit for a month, and then into the incubator 88 to 90, and bam, they did really, really well.
You ball python people hearing this shit? This is reptile breeding. You fuckers are breeding reps.
Yeah. You ought to, and you think that's kind of nutty. You ought to hear Pixis, the Pixis, the little tiny, arachnoides and all this stuff from Madagascar.
Spider tortoises
from
Madagascar.
The incubation on them is insane. It literally has like multiple diapause, all this weird stuff they do with them. I'm like, oh my God,
really?
You guys.
It's a nightmare. And that, again, why that species probably in our children's time will be extinct.
Yeah, no doubt, man. But there are good people working with them that are having some great success. And Dan,
how about the Minorias? You're still doing the burn?
Yeah, so I've got the blacks. Yep, I've got the blacks. I put my female on breeding loan with the Atlanta Zoo. We had a male that died suddenly, and it actually died because the next door neighbor to where it was kept, Wes had it at the time in Tampa, poisoned in his yard because he had raccoon and possum problems, and the raccoon died in his yard. It ate all the gut contents out and was literally foaming at the mouth within like 5-6 hours. Like, what's wrong with this animal, man? And he took it to and he realized it ate the entire gut content of the raccoon, so it ate the poison. And they pumped it. I can't remember who it was. Margaret Wisman, I think it was the DVM. Really, really, really intelligent.
Really
woman.
Good. Really good.
And slammed it with charcoal slurry, all kinds of stuff, and it died like in a day or two after. There was like no recovery for it.
Yeah.
So trying to find another male was literally impossible. I mean, nobody was coming off these things. Vic Morgan was like,
I'm really shocked at how rare they've been and how they have their things. Okay. But for as many of you freaky tortoise fucks that are into this species, I never really saw it. Dude, I never really got it.
All right, I'm gonna tell you what it is.
Tell me what it is. I want to know what it is because I still don't really get it. I mean,
the browns and the blacks are very similar. So the blacks get larger, browns stay a little bit smaller. My female is about 105 pounds. My female black, and my brown, I've only got a single female right now that's about 40 pounds.
So that's what, like maybe 24 inches?
24 inch, yeah. Okay. She's huge.
All right.
So when the male died, Dan recommended, he said, hey, man, why don't you put it on breeding loan with Zoo Atlanta? They've got a pair of wild-caught animals up there, and I can't remember the guy's name at the time that was there, the curator, but he said they could probably use another female, and what they'll do is, you'll get half the offspring, even odd, however, it's like they take the first, I get the second, they take the third, I take the fourth kind of thing.
Pretty good, even when a zoo wants to work with you these days. I mean, you're AZA, you're AZA approved and all.
I am not. No,
you're not.
But I didn't have to
still work with you. There you go. Look at that.
Yes, I didn't have to be. So, the paperwork was, being a scientist, I could appreciate this. Their paperwork was like, it's hard to explain what it was like other than it was like I was getting nuclear key codes.
Well, how about this? Tim, Tim Bailey, right? Tim.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Tim is AZA approved. And when Tim went through the approval process, I wasn't approved. And he asked me if I was going to do it. And I said, honestly, bro, I don't really want to do it. I don't really care to do it. I don't really need to do it. I don't my veterinarian friends at LSU and we can work together. Right. We don't have any sort of a block between us. We don't have like a Chinese wall, right? Between us. So where we're trying to protect each other. But I was like, but if you're going to do it, And you know what he said? He was like, well,
Mm-hmm.
I might try. And so he reached out to Tracy Barker, and Tracy's like, well, I'll write you a letter of recommendation.
Yeah.
And then he reached out to I think you needed what, 3 people or whatever.
I think so.
3 AZA members to write you a letter of recommendation. They wrote it all. Bro, he does all kinds of shit with Audubon now, but Audubon won't give you the time of day unless you're all approved like that, you know?
So,
but I mean, it's all fine and good, but
yeah,
Audubon kind of sucks now too, though. You know, his tie is our friend Nick Hanna, who is now in Tennessee. So, I mean, he works mostly with Nick still, I think. Stuff.
So they got her for the better part of 10 years, and she actually went into a good reproductive cycle about the 1st or 2nd year for them. So I was getting babies, not a ton, because they weren't, she wasn't laying gigantic clutches, but it was kind of cool because I was getting some babies back from them, and I would hold some and sell some. And those offspring, and this is what was critically important, they're in the AZA stud book registry.
That's what I was going to say. Now they're in the stud book, so that
all over the country, they're all over the United States.
They're absolutely unrelated. And they're documented unrelated.
Yep, they wanted her because she was wild caught. I mean, we had her for 14 years before she ever even thought about laying an egg, dude. And once the male died, it was like, oh my God, I didn't have a backup male. I had these other females. I'm like, what are we going to do with this animal, man? So I took this monster, sent it up to them, and they would incubate 2 different temperatures. So they would incubate cold and warm. And I kept just one like an idiot, but I kept one from the cold incubation, and it turned out to be a male. So it was like, boom, there's the male. He got to about 7 or 8 years of age. I put him in with another male, a male brown, and they went bonkers trying to kill each other. That's how I knew it was a male. You can't look at Minoria and go, oh, that's a male. It's just not.
They don't.
Anybody tells you they can now. It's very complicated when they're small.
They ultrasound sex,
and
like
what's that?
Helas? Ultrasound sex them or anything like
I don't know.
I
don't know. I thought somebody was working on blood sexing with them, potentially trying to do the DNA, but I don't know that it ever amounted to anything. But essentially, so I had a male, so I recalled her.
You'd think with the number of zoos that are working on that fucking species that they would have a goddamn rocket ship with its name on it already.
But the funny part of the story was when she initially went up, Orlando Diaz was the one that brought her up for me. And I don't know if he'll ever see this or not, but he was driving up there and he was in his pickup truck, and she was literally busting the lid off the whole ride for 7 hours. He's like, dude, I fought the tortoise for 7 hours on the road to get it to the zoo. And it was just ridiculous.
That's wild. Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
So what's interesting about that species is this. They're another good one for hot and cold tolerant. They don't like heat actually more than anything. They actually like it cooler. So Florida's a little bit tough in the summertime, but as long as it's raining, they're out and about. When it's not raining, they're sheltered up. They're in their hide box. They're hunkered down. But this is what's neat about this species, Sean. They get pretty good size. A female only lays a single clutch a year. So not like a sulcata, they'll lay 4, 5, 6 clutches. I mean, ungodly amounts of eggs if you're feeding it. These things, you feed them as much as you want, it's only going to give you a single cluch. When the eggs are first deposited,
keeping it rare, right?
Exactly.
Keeping it rare.
When the eggs are first deposited, they're almost soft and rubbery. And after about 3 weeks, they're chalking up and they start to harden on the outside.
Okay.
And the incubation is the same as a ball python, dude. It's like 65 days. And they pop out. And what's wild is at the end of the incubation, the shell is literally almost like chalk. You can literally take the shell after the baby hatches and go like this, and the shell's gone. It wears an elongated. No,
they don't eat it.
Nope. But an elongated shell, when they pop out, you could hit it with a hammer and it's not going to bust. They pop the top off. It's so you can't break it with your hands. So you got a species that's literally laying sea turtle eggs. They build this huge nest mound like an alligator, and they sit on top of it for the better part of 1 to 2, 3 weeks. And if you go out there, she opens her mouth and hisses and comes down off the mound real slow.
That's fucking cool. Okay, I get it. That's cool. I get that's cool. Then you got me.
Neat,
all right.
And then the only thing I haven't documented. The only thing I haven't documented with that species yet, but I actually believe is true at this point because I've seen enough tailings in the yard. I think they break the nest mound down close to the 60-day mark. I actually believe it because I've gone out there and she's scratching around and she's moving the nest around again. I'm like, she's looking for the babies, dude. I truly believe it at this stage. I've seen it enough times that I go, why is she breaking this nest down when she's already late? There's no other reason. She's pushing it all around the yard again. So, really ancient, archaic animals. They look at you, they just want to interact, and they want food all the time, and just really cool species.
And I like that, and I do like the geometric shape to their scutes and stuff. Like they have this weird like plating, and it's like very angular.
Exactly.
Right? Because like I'm very much a big like, you know why I'm not a tortoise fag? You know why? Because I can't have the fucking tortoises that I want.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't have tent tortoises. I can't have serrated tortoises. I can't have,
man.
bro, serrated tortoises are the coolest fucking things. Tortoises that look like fucking Chinese, like Japanese throwing stars. Oh yeah, bro. Like fucking, like
they're
dude,
cool.
You know, did you see I announced, speaking of throwing stars, I announced the Off Topic Tuesday guest for the end of the month today, and that's Ben Quintana from isopod.com. And he's been going to Cuba, and you should see the fucking isopods in Cuba with the spikes, bro. We're gonna review them on the podcast. It's gonna be so sick. It's gonna be so sick, man. It's gonna be so sick. Now, look, if you guys are listening to this and you're an hour, 119 minutes in, you're an hour and 19 minutes in to this wonderful podcast with my old friend Matt, and I'm loving this. This is already one of my favorite ones I've ever done. I'm not lying to you, only because we get to live. And this is living. It's not about money. Stuff. It's not about finance. It's not about house payments and mortgages and investments and getting up to the next level and fucking leveling up and Patreon. Like, look, there's my Patreons over there. It's on the bottom. It's right down there at the bottom. And speaking of, while you say that, I will go ahead and vomit my Patreon members out to be fair to them. River Rat was here commenting earlier, McGrail Morph Stone Age. And the rest of yous that don't pay me enough to say your name anymore. No, you pay me enough. I'll let you roll. But I'm going to tell you, man, a few months ago, you just mentioned Orlando Diaz. Okay. Dr. Orlando Diaz, doctor of veterinary medicine, wonderful guy. And I love the fact that a few weeks ago, I had his teacher on this very podcast. I had Mark Mitchell, his resident veterinarian senior.
Nice.
For one of the greatest podcasts that I've ever recorded, that I think anyone in the reptile world has ever recorded, not because of me, because of him. Because this dude, see that painting back there in the background? Tell Hicks painted that for him.
It looks like a Tell Hicks painting.
And that was from when him and Orlando went to the Galapagos to work on those fucking marine iguanas. Cool. So like when you're there and you're that guy and you've actually done biopsies on marine iguanas, like how badass would that be, bro? How badass would that experience
Orlando shared his pictures with me from the Galapagos, and I was blown away. I was
that was his partner. That was who was with him. So you know, and I'm going to tell you what, this is the honor that I love Orlando so much. I asked Orlando to do this show, and because of his family struggles right now and traveling, he declined doing it.
He is busy.
I know, but he's traveling, going back and forth too. But when he declined doing it because he's been so busy, he suggested that I contact Mark, and I was like, Mark was my next call. I just wanted you to know, Orlando, that you were my first choice.
It's great.
And I told Mark, and I was like, I'm sorry, bro, you were my second choice. And he was like, yeah, but Orlando's so wonderful.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched this episode, Matt, go back and watch.
I need to. Yeah, I will.
Go back with this one. I'll even link it over to you because this one is just fucking tremendous.
That's cool.
And we get to talk about so much deep.
Oh yeah,
deep
good people, man.
You know?
Yep, good.
And that's the point of this, man. The point of this is to bring on. And thank you for the sponsors that I'm rolling down at the bottom again.
There you
go.
For
bringing on this show and allowing me to bring on people like you who have never been heard from before. You'll probably be asked to do more podcasts now, bro.
I'll never be asked to do another one. Look at this guy talks too much. He won't shut up.
I think it's great. You're the only one talking over me, and we can blame it on a lag.
Exactly.
But no, it's because you've known me for 22 years and you know that's the way to do it.
Yes.
That's the way.
So as far as tortoises, that's pretty much the whole enchilada. You know, it wasn't a huge diversity. We did have redfoots and leopards and all that kind of stuff and wound up selling those. It was just, they're cool, but just not what my heart's into. I love the species I work with. Those Indonesians are just, they're the bomb, dude. They're so
and I
much
think
fun.
Once you've worked with Testudo too, it's such a different type of tortoise. It's like a tortoise and a dog built into one.
Oh yeah, they're outstanding animals, man.
Well, really,
Super
honestly,
cool.
You know what? They're like cycloras are to me with iguanas, bro.
Yeah,
they really
absolutely.
are. They're the meat-eating iguanas that are like, yeah, I'm cool and I'll do whatever and I'll eat whatever and I don't need to kill you. We can be friends.
Yep,
all right, let's move on. Let's move on in the world. Boas. We no longer work with any boa species. You know what I love about this? You know what I love about this? Boas. Hey, you boa people. He's not even caring enough to leave the fucking pictures up.
Nope, I took it all down.
You know what? Screw this. Why? Because boa people are like,
do you still have that one with those wonderful widow's peaks from Guyana with the purple stripes down the side?
No, special. Boa people are special.
Yep.
But I will say this.
I do regret that. Yeah.
Do you regret it?
I regret taking it down. Yeah.
Oh, you regret taking it down.
The super stripes and reverse stripes were on there. And,
yeah.
And it was. I was like, you know what? It's just too many questions, man. We don't work with them anymore. It's just simple as that.
Too many questions. It's too many questions. All right, hang on.
That's what it was.
Boa observation. Boa breeder observation. Boa collector observation. First of all, chicks dig boas. It's just a thing. All right. Most women collectors, boas. I'm sorry to say most of the lesbian collectors that I've known boas. Just a thing. I don't know. Yeah. Boas. Live bears flock together, right? We are all good. It's fine. Love boas. I started with boas. My first snake was a Guyana, a true Suriname, right? But boa people are, and I don't mean Pete Call, who might be my guest on Friday, who made his name in boas, pretty much.
He did.
And then ball pythons like a motherfucking chain.
And pies, right? I know. It's crazy.
And all ladies love the boas. All ladies love the boas.
So we did the super stripes. Go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. You do you. Super stripes. Tell me about that, because the super stripes. Did you do the ones that Anthony LeCompte did? Is that the same strain or no?
That's
the same one.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this. Oh yeah, that's the bloodline. And Anthony's there are other guys working with him out there, but Anthony's like the one that secured that bloodline indefinitely, because we bought the collection. The collection, it was a guy in St. Petersburg that had this huge boa colony, and he used to fly into the Yucatan and he'd field collect stuff. And those animals were initially field collected. They were wild caught animals. And
you need to tell these people to stop sending me pictures of everything while I'm doing a fucking podcast. People are blowing me up pictures of snakes to identify. I'm like, I don't care. I'm talking to somebody else about something else.
It's gotta wait.
I don't give a shit. No, it's like I retired from ball pythons. Go identify them somewhere else. You know what I'm going to say?
Yep.
Yes.
There you go.
Is this a puzzle? Yes. Is this a puzzle? Yes. Is this a puzzle?
Hold back. Hold back at it. Correct. Yep. Yes. So that's it. And we didn't
Jablonski
start the line. It was a guy in St. Pete that was doing it. He basically gave it to Joe Fossey and put it on consignment. And we bought all of it. We bought everything. And some of them were in good shape. Some of them weren't in the best shape. And you know how boas are. They can be fickle, man. So we had.
Trust me. I used to deal with Mario with the boas that he couldn't keep. Remember?
So we had some problems with some. We had others that were fine. We did have some success, but it was really limited overall. I just sucked at breeding boas, man. I could not do it consistently. And after like 3-4 years, we threw in the tower. Like, dude, we're killing ourselves with, I don't know, it was like 35, 40 animals. And it was just not fun. It was just crazy. A lot of them were really mean. And not that I mind keeping mean snakes. I got lots of mean snakes, but it was
I'll be honest with you.
We just weren't enjoying it. So we actually...
You got this chick started, right? So when you pour gas on her fire, bro, like whoosh, like this woman comes out, Jessica Hare comes out, and it's fucking over.
Yep.
So
those initial animals were field collected in the Yucatan, and the exact whereabouts are speculative. But this guy was actually, he had bank. He would fly his private plane down there, and
Celia and I got one from Anthony LeCompte, and it was mean as fuck if I remember correct. Probably. It was aggressive. It was more aggressive than usual. But at that point, I really didn't think that the super snakes were all that genetic. All that. Like, I didn't really think. I was looking at, honestly, bro. I was looking at it like a Borneo. I was like, whatever. Yeah. Nobody gives a fuck about Borneo.
When you got really good examples, they looked cool. It was like, holy cow, man,
they look insane. And of course, the one we got from Anthony that was insane because Celia got it. Because I was like, Celia, we've been looking at that shit and it doesn't look that different from just aberrancies and normals. And she was like, but Anthony's doing this at a really good deal. And it was Celia, right? And boas. So it wasn't really much talking her down from that ledge. I was pretty much going to do it. But I mean, it's not that we didn't make money. We always did well with boas. Like I always did well with boas as long as we produced them and did not have to deal with the bullshit of people and the politics of boas.
I just did terrible with them. I just had a terrible reproductive history. Yeah. So what I wound up doing was I sold them, and it was oh man, I just tried to remember his name. It just popped out of my head. Outback Reptiles is Ian
Miodowski.
Ian bought it, and he was he was brokering a deal. He sold
also coming on this podcast soon. Yeah, nice. Really.
So here's the kicker. The guy he sold them to had them for, I guess, a few years. Oh, I'm lagging again.
No, you're good.
The guy that had those boas for a few years. Okay, cool. He walked away from his collection.
Okay.
He locked the door and he left. And
whoa,
at some point,
who was
somebody's
that?
Like, it really smells in this building.
Who was that?
I don't know. I never got a name. But here's the crazy part, dude. I don't know who it was. I never found out who it was, but they walked away, and they were gone for like 2 months and never went back. And animal control in Virginia basically kicked the door in, and I got an email from a woman from some whatever county they were in, Virginia animal control, and she said, "Hey, is this you, Jablonski?" Because my name was tagged on the tubs, Jablonski Super Stripe. And I said, "Yeah, that was one of my boas." She said, "Well, it was just part of a confiscation that we took. Somebody walked away from their facility, and most of these animals in this facility were dead, but there's a few that are still alive. And the original founding male was still alive. One of his offspring was still alive. There was like a handful." So she said,
"Tempered in raw shit like George Carlin swimming in the Hudson River."
No doubt. So what's crazy is I said, "Yeah, these are actually moderately desirable boas. I mean, they have some value." And I said, if what we wound up doing was I brokered a deal and I sold, I think, one of the males to Dan and Colette Sutherland. And I think Anthony got something. I don't know if it's through me or through somebody else. It's been so many years since this happened, but there was a handful of animals. The bloodline was almost gone entirely because we never
Anthony
made many
was the
of them.
last one to really grab on.
Most of them died in this guy's facility. Yeah. And he started working it. And when I saw he got in touch with me, I'm like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're doing this."
Right. Oh, there he goes. Caught up with him. Hopefully the lag will catch up again, guys. I'll kind of soak up the silence a second as we wait on Matt's internet. It's been pretty good so far tonight, but he might have to reconnect. Yeah, he might have to reconnect.
Okay.
You're coming back around. It's fine. Jump right back in.
Okay.
You're good.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, it was just this super crazy thing. And it was funny because Colette said to me, "Well, what can we do for you if you're hooking us up with this animal?" And I said, "Well, sell me a pair of pastel ball pythons at half price." And she did. And they were like, I want to say a regular pastel was like
about $1,500. Yeah, $1,500.
Like so like a $3,000 pair of snakes for $1,500. And I sold my first super pastels for $750 or $1,000 or something. I was like, "Wow, this is crazy, man. This is cool." But I want to rewind real fast on the super stripe thing because it actually involves Dave Barker. Because I was trying to work a deal with Tracy, and we just couldn't see eye to eye. We just couldn't make a deal. We kept like butting heads on what we were trying to do for, what I wanted, what she wanted. And actually what she kept offering was a male het clown. And I was like, my business partner at the time was like, "What do we do with this snake?" I'm like, I mean, it's kind of a weird brown back, stripe, kind of stripy, reticulated, stripy looking snake. And, like $5,000 for a het male. And he's like, "Forget it, dude." Because how do we even know it's a het? I'm like, "It's the Barkers. It's going to be legit, man." I could have been a clown king. I'm just a clown right now, but I could have been a clown king, Sean. I'm telling you, that was like 19, 20 years ago, man. It was like the second year.
It was much further than that, actually.
Yeah, it must have been. Yeah, it was like the first or second year.
It was like
stuff.
It was probably late. Yeah, it was probably 1998, 97, 98. If you had basically a shot at head clown. Yeah, but you know what? On the same turn, we talked about Janie Mousen and Doug Beard earlier in the show. On the same turn, you could have bought het Bengal balls.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Remember that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Those things were extreme. That was a whole clutch. Do you know I got a clutch of those from Africa later on?
Really?
A whole clutch of babies that hatched together that looked exactly like the Bengals. Just like Janie's, and they were just normals. They never produced anything.
They were just so beautiful,
normals, but they were soft and banded with the zebra band.
Beautiful animals,
they were ridiculous. Yeah, if you remember those. So yeah, they could have been het Bengal balls, bro.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
We talk about it every week on my show. You're not a watcher. Maybe you'll start watching. I got a lot of guys that are coming back around and watching shit because they see books like this and books like this one here.
Let me guess. Yep,
this
Marzak.
one,
you know,
right?
I insulted Jerry because when I bought that book, he said, "You want me to sign it?" I said, "No, I like my books unsigned, no ink, pristine." And I'm just weird that way. Like I don't like a book that have any mark in it. And he looked at me like, "Huh." That's the first person that ever refused my signature. But I was like, "No, man, really." I said, "I appreciate the book. I appreciate what you guys have done." And that was like the Holy Grail, that Bible of
the Bible.
You know, it was the start of it all.
We've talked about it here for a bunch.
So boas we just sucked at, and you know, it was cool to see Anthony really kicking ass and taking names with that.
And the funny thing is boas you claim you sucked at. I'm going to talk over you a little bit with the lag, but the boas that you claim you suck at, and you're in Florida with the frogs and the run. Why didn't you just put the fucking boas outside? You didn't want to be like Tom.
We should have.
You didn't want to be the keeper is the kept and the keeper's kept or kept keeper, then the kept or kept. I don't fucking know. I love the man. I love the fact that he actually, you know who called me last night at 8 o'clock at night to tell me that he had just gotten off the phone with Tom Crutchfield, who told him that he needed to do this show again. Tom is making Pete like do this show. Tom is literally like Tom Crutchfield. So you know what that means? That means now I get to go to Tom Crutchfield and say, when are we doing a show?
You're next. Yep.
That's what I get to say. I love this. I love it. Don't say a word. Let Tom get nice and embedded into this Pete Call shit. And when he's invested and we can like twist his arm and we just fucking, that's right.
Yep. You know, he's another guy. Love him or hate him. He's actually done a lot of really interesting things. I never really was friendly with him. I talk to him every now and then. You know, he's got a crazy sordid past, but I do like some of the stuff that he does, and maybe some of it is kind of like PR type stuff, and that's fine.
No, I think the new old man shit is fine.
I think that's cool.
The new old man shit is fine, bro. I mean, Eugene Bissett, if you you remember Eugene when we were younger, right? Eugene was a fucking mean guy. Eugene was an angry, mean guy.
Oh, he was very angry, yeah.
Now Eugene is a sweet old man who found God and like everything's good. And like, I'm not religious, but if you are and it made you from asshole to nice and fucking right, I'm all about it.
It's all good.
You know?
Yep.
All about it.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. No, I still see
Eugene occasionally. Acknowledge this comment. Limey Smidger says, need to get Pete on late at night for the good stories. Limey, this is the problem. Pete wants to do this at 8 o'clock at night for the good stories. I've talked to Pete recently at 8 o'clock at night. The stories are good. The stories are too good.
I think
the stories and some of the words used cannot be used live. If they are used live, I will lose my channel. Okay.
A little bit of an edit here and there.
This might have to be a pre-record this week. This might have to be a 1 o'clock in the afternoon show this week. I don't know yet. I don't know. I'll know closer to Friday. So give me a week. I had we all had kids off from school today for Martin Luther King Day. So I was most of the day at home with the kid. So I did not want to get on phone calls today trying to coordinate my Peter Call interview for Friday. But yeah, I would love to say that I could just, hey, Pete, let me just call him. Let's call him right now. Fuck it. Let's do it right now. Like we could do that, right? Like we could right. I mean, look, this soundboard I have is already linked to the phone, bro. All I got to do is just dial the number and we're there, right?
Oh my
very
God.
well might. Right. Will's hella he says you're not monetized yet, so no worries about getting in trouble. What I'm saying, Will, is if I let this interview fly like Limey's talking about right here, then I'm gonna get so many subs, YouTube might shut it down. I'm gonna be the next Connor Price, the white rapper kid from Instagram who get this shit. He got his 100,000 subscriber plaque and his 1 million subscriber plaque in the same month. He picked up 872,000 subscribers in 20-something days.
That's pretty crazy.
That's fucking nuts. And you know what? I'm actually going to acknowledge that, bro, because me and you grew up in a world where recording artists only got to like go in a studio and record and then let other people make money off of all their hard work, their talent, and everything else. And now only Spotify is making money on that. And everyone that works at Spotify. Don't be thinking it's this new age movement of free money for artists. Spotify's still making a mint, but at least it's only Spotify now and Spotify's employees. But But dude, this kid was an Instagram rapper, and now he's a fucking, making a million. So good for him. Good for him. Crazy. And Will, I'm not going to shoot up like that. I'm not going to shoot off like a rocket. Ask about the Mexico trip. Bro, I would like to ask most old school reptile guys about the Mexico trip. It's not even the same Mexico trip. That's what's great. They all
but each one of them is going to be, it's going to be
crazy. Even one of them got, bro, you remember that Tijuana trip? Oh, yeah.
Oh,
man. Then King Smith should do one, right? Where we do the trip to Mexico where they picked up all the Noblochi to bring to America, right? The reason that Tarahumara mountain king snakes are here in America is my friend and his drunken college friends going to North Mexico and bringing them back illegally.
Cool snakes. They're very cool.
Absolutely. Let's talk about this. Yes, Mike Ellis. Thank you for bringing into the real comment. You know what? This is another thing too. I have interviewed Luke from Australia from Lizard Morphs, who has all the badass blue tongue skink and bearded dragon morphs we can't get. I've had Colin Schumark, which, I mean, you've never really talked to me much about Antaraceas, Matt, but I'm really an Antaracea person.
Yeah.
Like I've got anthills and children's and all that, right? And I really love them. But to work with blackheads, I want to talk blackheads with you. I want to talk blackheads next week with Jason Hood, who has some incredible blackheads. You guys are like, you guys are my go-to guys. And actually, my last pair of blackheads that I got, I sold them last year, 2 years ago now. But my pair was the pair that you sent me when we did that ball python trade.
Yep.
So,
and guess what? I still have that snake sitting in a rack over here, man. It was the banana pewter.
Oh, banana pewter. Oh, what a great trade.
It's exactly. It's still
saying.
He bred so well, made so many clutches, and that animal, I don't give a damn what anybody says. You pull the tub, it's beautiful. It's neon yellow. You still see the pattern. It's just I can't explain
Some
it.
of that
like,
stuff's so pretty.
It's just a pewter banana, and it's so nice, man. So blackheads are a really, that was like a pinnacle species for me, man.
That's definitely one of my pinnacle species as well. I agree.
Yeah, I never imagined working with them. And Matt
Turner, maybe that's better than that.
Yeah. Actually, for me, it's Papuan pythons. That's the one that I want more than anything. But as you all know, well, some of y'all know, it's a risky proposition when you put a male in with a female on those guys. So, but getting into the blackheads, it was cool because I had these ultra bright Borneo. Yes, well, there's some thought about that actually. Doing a heavy rubber band around the female's mouth, that kind of like lobster claws.
Hey, bro, waterproof Band-Aid, man. Take you some waterproof Band-Aid. That bandaging material that they use in hospitals, you can buy that shit by the sheet. Cover that fucker's head up and poke some holes in there for the nose.
You might.
Hey, look, bro. If there's some crazy BDSM motherfuckers completely encasing themselves in latex, except for where they got to breathe through two little holes in their nose, bro, I don't want to hear any shit about it.
Yeah, for a week on this female.
For a week, right? We could do it. We could do it, right? So, somewhere there's a Western hognose breeder saying, "Bro, I'm gonna have an idea. I might eat an egg next time. I'm gonna have to try some of that." So blackheads are absolutely stunning.
It's an interesting community. There's a few different there's some strong personalities, and that's fine. I have what I call ugly blackheads, and I love them. I don't care what they look like. I've never seen
our blackheads look kind of ugly, but you know what I mean.
Some people like, I want to see bright high contrast. I want to see this. I just love the species. I don't care what it looks like, man. That's one snake that I honestly don't care. If it's solid black, if it's muddy, if it's bright, it's great. They're all good. And I've got like color changers. So after a few years, they will randomly go calico. Some people have argued that it's genetic. Other people have argued it's diet. I argue that it's genetic. I don't know how it passes. I can't say that it's a recessive or a dominant trait at this point. Are there markers? We don't know. We just don't know. But if you've got the bloodline, these calicos will pop out. And
as long as the markers on the $100 bills read right, baby. That's all the markers I care about, honey.
So I got two pairs from Matt Turner, and I was making these ultra bright Borneos.
It's hurting me to hear his name. Fuck him.
I know.
Right now. No, he won't do my podcast. He won't do it. He won't do it. He won't do it. Wait. Where am I going? Wait, I'm going here. I'm gonna pull it up, bro. I'm going to pull it up, and I'm going to tell him right now that me and you are talking about him in front of the world of people, and he should defend himself. I mean, really, I'm like, dude, what do I have to do? I even gave you a discount on anthill pythons this year. Just gave him a discount, and he shared it. He even shared the damn thing on his page. Look, here's his Stimsoni, and here's there's one of his Stimsoni from this year. And look at this little girl he got for me. Look at little baby.
That's great.
Look at her little baby. That's the same age from this year. That's a Stimsoni.
Yep.
That's a little.
Yep.
I love him. I love him. And he still won't do my fucking show. God damn you, Matt. Look,
maybe he'll come around.
Yeah, look, Matt. See, look, man, it's just really not my thing. I'm a very introverted guy. Yet he's giant.
I get that. Yeah.
He's introverted. I get that too. But he's done Tinley Park. And in my opinion, if you're not introverted enough, look, if you're introverted, I understand.
You're talking.
But if you bought a table and you brought your wife and your child,
and 8,000 people came to your past your table.
Sadly, we can say probably only 10,000 people at that Tinley Park, right? Because that was before they even expanded the fucking building, right? That was because he was my neighbor. You know, Matt took, you know whose spot Matt took when he moved to a different area?
I do not.
Ben Rennick. Ben Rennick was my neighbor, and then Matt Turner was my neighbor, right? So it's like, Matt, what's up, buddy? And Marshall Van Thor was on the right of me, and we were at the very end by the wall, facing the fucking wall in Tinley. I loved facing that end wall. It was the end aisle. It was like everybody just hit the show and went all the way to that wall and bounced off that wall and hit my table. Like it was like the first ping pong goal. It was like, bing, that motherfucker gets hit every time.
It's great.
Yeah. That was wonderful. But Matt needs to do the show.
At some point, you might get him. So I got my blackheads from him. I got an adult pair, and I got a pair of babies that were already feeding. And I traded him some ultrabite Borneo stuff when that was on the higher end and pretty hot. And it was cool because the next season they reproduced, man. It's like I got them going. And I didn't know anything about this species. I was like grasping at straws. I'm asking Tom Keogh and Derek Roddy, and they're kind of giving me some information, but kind of keeping
you didn't call Dick Gergen? You didn't call Dick Gergen?
I didn't even think about it, honestly.
Dude, you and Dick Gergen would have said, fuck, you didn't buy one from me, and hung up on you.
Yeah.
But you know, I talked to the guy the other night that would have helped you. Casey Lazick would have helped you.
Yeah, and I didn't know Casey. You know, I knew these guys down here, so I kind of
you knew those guys.
You know, so they gave me some ideas and some tips and pointers, and I hatched some out, and it was really cool. And Matt said the thing that's going to determine if you're a blackhead breeder is if you can hatch the eggs and if you can get babies started. Because if you can't do those two things, you're going to just frustrate and you're going to shut it off and get rid of it all. 16 consecutive years, you know, I've had these things and I've reproduced. And this might actually be the first year that I'm not going to pair anything up. And not to be a naysayer in the market, but the market's soft right now. So I'm like, you know what? I got 5 animals from last season. I've got 5 or 6 animals from this season. And things are slow and quiet. So I'm like, you know what? We might not even pair those things up. But really, really cool species. Jason will talk about this when you have him on. Feeding was absolutely a nightmare in my early years with them. And now it's the easiest part of keeping them. And people go, how's that possible, dude? Jason had this idea. He goes, because we would talk to the guys from Australia and get ideas. You know, we do the rat tails, pinky mice, you know, they get shoved down the hatch and they don't have big teeth. So they can just launch it right back out, man. If it's not really in, there's nothing to retain it in the mouth. Right. So it was a struggle for years and years and years. And then Jason goes, listen, man, try this. He goes, I got this idea. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a day-old quail chick, frozen thawed. I'm going to thaw it out. And I'm going to shove it into its mouth. So it's all the way in where basically the mouth is closed around the neck. And I thought, well, what does that do? Well, it's not like this. It's like this. Its mouth is closed again. It's calm. It's got something in its mouth, and there's a body hanging off to the side, but it's not struggling. It doesn't have this huge object suddenly.
You know why? Because it had a bearded dragon in its mouth. Exactly. And once that big fucking head went in its mouth, then it was perfectly fine.
Yep. It's like, all right, I'm good. Now I'm just going to work the rest of it down. Swear to God. So I was like, all right, let me give this a whirl. I would say it's been like 4 or 5 years now. So that's all we do. We take the head, we put it into its mouth, and I actually take it and I pull it off to the side, and I put it back in the tub real nice and easy, close the tub. And literally the first time, second time, third time, they eat it. And all I do is I take a frozen thawed mouse and I leave it in the tub. So if it doesn't eat it, I give that to, something else, and it puts it down the hatch.
Such a fucking cool species.
And Sean, I swear to you, After like a
I
month,
wish you could have told me how to hatch the eggs differently. Though. I can't fucking do that. I mean,
that's the hard
like,
part, dude.
You know what I did? I did it like my friend did that had that leopard gecko from his pet shop. I tried to hatch the eggs by shoving a quail into it.
Yeah.
And it just didn't work. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That was it. You never heard that story.
Yeah.
It's a funny story that I told Mike Beebe, one of the guys that introduced us, that were part of the group when we met. He owned a pet shop, 50 Fathoms Pet Shop in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And he had a woman come in and she got a leopard gecko. And she said, I've told this story on a podcast, so some of you guys know it. Some of you guys don't. Some of you will think it's the funniest thing you've ever heard. Some of you think, oh my God, this is so fucking horrible. The woman buys a leopard gecko and she calls back a couple weeks later. She says, my leopard gecko is just not doing that well. And he said, well, can you describe it to me? He was, it's skinny. It doesn't really eat that much. It just hides all the time, whatever. He said, well, can you bring it by the shop next time you come to get crickets? Bring the lizard with you. And she brings in the lizard, and the lizard's all like it's got shed stuck on it. It's got toenails are all stuck. Its eyes are all fucking messed up and infected and shit. It's all fucked up, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, you've only had this thing for a couple of weeks. You're like, I've never seen anybody crash a gecko this quickly.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And it's amazing to me. Like, he's like, can you bring me through the care regimen? She's like, look, I do everything exactly how you guys tell me, and she's like, well, you give it the vitamins? She's like, yeah, I'm doing it. And she's like, well, tell me how you do it. And she's like, well, okay, I come here, I get the crickets, I go home, I take the crickets, I dump them in the cage. I take the gecko, I put him in the bag. I put the calcium powder in the bag. I shake the gecko around in the bag. And she was dusting the fucking lizard, So
that's terrible, man.
I'm like, right? Yeah, it's funny, but it's horrible. But it's funny. Yeah. Every reptile guy in the world is going to turn red in the face like he's doing while they laugh on live TV.
Terrible,
right?
man.
Like, I can't believe I'm laughing in the world. Yeah, exactly. It's exactly right. Yeah, that's right. No, it's perfectly fine because he took the gecko from her and he was like, "Get the fuck out of my store and don't ever come back here because you're a moron." And the funny thing was that was actually the fucking craziest, stupidest thing that anybody's ever. That I've ever heard of.
I've never heard.
I have still never heard of another worse thing than
that's
that.
Possibly the worst.
That's it, right? Anecdotally, like it could be worse. You could dust your gecko. You know what I mean? Like it should be, that would be it.
That's
like it definitely doesn't have calcium deficiency, right? That's it. Calcium deficiency.
So that resolved feeding. It's like so easy now, and we tell everybody.
I just wish hatching eggs was like that. Like I said, I've been busy giving the eggs quail. I've been dusting the eggs, bro. I've been fucking dusting the eggs. Like,
really,
the
eggs are just super sensitive to too much moisture near the end of the incubation. So when you get about halfway and they're starting to sweat out, all we do is we wipe the box down. We wipe the box down like every other day, every third day. And then in the last probably 3 weeks, it's usually about every day I'll wipe the box and just do a quick wipe, boom, done. You need large incubation containers. At least this is in my opinion. This is what's worked best. Large volume. You want to have the eggs suspended over top of dry vermiculite, a little bit damp on the very bottom. So a little bit damp on the bottom, dry vermiculite, and then put them on light diffuser and then put them in. And I have like one, maybe two little holes, and that's it. And then into the incubator, do their thing. And, you just have to keep that moisture content getting lower as they are starting to sweat out, because I figure a female inside of a termite mound, which is really high humidity, she's probably relaxing her coils. She's letting the eggs really just naturally do their thing because they will be fully formed dead in egg. It's like chondros early on. They found out if you keep these things too humid, at 50, 55 days, you cut open the egg and it's a fully formed dead snake. It was too wet. And that's when they started doing at least the friends that I had that were doing, they were putting chondro eggs inside of filter floss, inside of a deli cup, inside of a larger container that had moisture, and they'd hatch. They had 100% hatch rates. Like, we figured it out. Like the whole, you just want that high humidity, but not anywhere near the egg, just the ambient high.
Right.
So yeah, blackheads are great, man. They're really cool. They generally are very docile, easygoing animals. It just, at least mine are cage aggressive, and Hood thinks it's because of the type of cages that I keep.
Tell me this though, before we get on that reptile enclosure comment. One of the things I really introduced people to blackheads when they would visit my facility when I had them here is the fact that they really don't have a strike response. Like mine never have. I've had blackheads now. I've owned a total of 8 different specimens to adulthood. And I have never been bitten by one.
Yeah,
like
yeah. So
now that you open the cage on a Woma, it will come at you like a cow king. Mouth open. You know, that's a Woma python. You know, considering this Aspidaites, and there's only 2 of them, right? That one, and Melanocephalus and Ramsey. So and when we're working with these, with the black-headed pythons, they would literally, you open the cage, they come at you with their head, but they don't open their mouth. And if you don't move, they don't care. Like if you don't care, they don't care. And it's pretty cool to see a species of reptile that literally acts like you don't fucking matter.
Yeah. Oh, they're smart,
from
dude.
any perspective, from a threat or benefit perspective. Like he's not going to feed, like a Woma's like, oh, he's going to feed me, Seymour. I want your blood, you know, or it's or something else more like what could I use as an example? A white lip, maybe. A white lip, maybe.
Oh, yeah, I've got white lips.
A white lip, maybe, where you would be like dealing with it, and all of a sudden, it starts fucking you up, right? Or a Brazilian rainbow boa, like 15 minutes out of the cage. Oh, it's perfectly cool. And all of a sudden, like whack, whack, whack.
Way up top above my head, I've got a female white lip. I haven't touched it with bare hands in close to 4 years.
There he goes. Let's see how get the white lip.
Impossible, dude.
That was thank you for posting that, Mike, because that was the perfect.
Never happened.
That was the perfect analogy there with that species, because it really is like a white lip, but it's nothing like that. It's not like one. It's not like the other. It's unlike any other species of reptile I had in this building.
Blackheads are amazing,
and completely unlike Womas. And that's the thing, completely unlike Womas. Don't ever let anybody tell you a Woma's a poor man's blackhead, because it's not even remotely the same animal. You know,
exactly.
And so if you've been thinking about getting a black-headed python, do whatever you take the money out of your next ball python paycheck and put it to this species and just own it. Don't even worry about it. Otherwise,
absolutely by far the most enjoyable animals I've ever worked with.
Right. I've never kept a bull and eye. But I would imagine a bull and I would probably trump this for me. But when in the way of black-headed pythons, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to get some Swiss blood from Jason. Or from Jim.
Jim Sargent. I've actually got a Swiss line male from Jason that sired a clutch for me this past season, and the babies are cool looking. They're nice. Yeah, so
they are so beautiful. So beautiful.
My muddier animals and kind of cleaned it up.
And do you know the entire genetic history of that? Do you?
I don't know.
Would you like to? Because I can't recant it to you because it was late at night. But Casey talked to me a few weeks ago. And he and I talked for about 2 hours, where he made me swear that I wasn't recording him multiple times, where he told me golden stories, like the exact origin of the Swiss line of black-headed python.
Interesting.
Exact origin of them. And you'd be actually shocked where.
Well, if you need to take it offline, we can talk about that. If he
no, it's not. It's not like that. No, it's not like that. It's in fact that he told me so much in those 2 hours that I can't even recant it to you.
Oh yeah.
I can't even recant it to you at all. I can't. Limey, you sent that photo to me. You texted it to me, buddy. I'm going to see. Let's see. Oh, my God.
So, yes, Mike Ellis still working with blackheads and still loving them. Whenever you're ready again, my man. Whenever you're ready.
Well, I'll tell you what. I would love to do them again. Look at this picture that Limey sent me.
Yeah.
Look at this.
That's crazy. See, some people hate it. Some people absolutely
hate that?
I love it. That's calico, man.
Oh, that's your thing?
That's not one of mine, but I've had animals that have done that.
That have done that?
My particular, yep.
But you notice this is exactly what the ball python does too. Sometimes it's not. I don't think it's genetic. It's well, I mean, it might be inherited genetic, but it's a melanin breakdown, right?
It is,
but it breaks down over long years. It doesn't break down at youth.
Yep. Because there are it's usually about year 3, maybe 4 is when you'll start.
I had a whole entire line of ball python that would do this, dude. There's a genetic sense to that.
There's a component to it that's definitely genetic in my opinion, because
up my shit tonight.
If I've got it, Hood's got it, I think Split Rock's got it, and Roddy's got stuff that doesn't do it.
All of you guys should have about the same shit. right? I mean, because we're not talking about a lot of smuggling there, are we?
There's actually a few lines
been
out there.
Smuggling some new lines in.
Yeah, there was an animal from Japan that came in. There's been, you know, I was never involved in that aspect of it ever, so I never got into that part of reptiles.
Too bad.
But you know, I do know
was
that
legal once it left Australia.
Yeah. I mean, there are different bloodlines that did come in through Germany. You know, there's not a ton of it. It's not. I don't think it's as limited as like the Angolan stuff, but there are a number of different lines. There was animals that came out of Dallas, Fort Worth. I want to say.
A lot of zoo lines.
Diego. Yeah. So those animals had some origins, you know, that were truly.
I remember Matt had like more specific Western and right. Didn't he have separated?
I think so. Yeah.
He had two different regional differences in them.
Yep. I believe so.
At Matt Turner's Selective Origins.
Yeah.
Selective podcasters, motherfuckers. I love him, and I really want to get him on, bro. Yeah. I need your help with that. Tell him you had fun doing this, and tell him how much you enjoy it with it, because this really is fun, bro. I'm having a great time with it.
Yeah. Matt's you know, I've got nothing bad to say about him. He did me right. You know, he's made some great, cool animals. You know, we always had a good time discussing.
Oh no, he's a wonderful guy.
Yeah,
fuck him for not doing the podcast. He's a wonderful guy. That's perfectly fine. All right, well, now we can move on into other types of pythons, and we'll get into some more little ball python and stuff. But I want to touch on the short tails before we go on too much further. Now, did you do chondros? I see green trees on your list. On Monkeyfrog.
I actually got chondros, and they were from Bill Schwinn. They were his bloodlines. I got them through Joe, but Bill was like, yeah, I just sold some to Joe.
Oh, good. So I can talk to Joe about Bill a pretty good bit. Then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
That's great. That brings us some good commonality to discuss.
And you know what's crazy? I had only one pair, and I could never get these things to reproduce. And it was guaranteed male and female. I mean, I probed them multiple times. The female would go hormonal blue. She'd never ovulate, never lay nothing. And she was always a tail hanger. And Rico Walter said, "What are you feeding it?" And I'm like, "Small rats." He goes, "There's your problem, dude." Yeah. He goes, "You just can't do that." And that's before anybody really kind of you were either in the know or you just didn't know. And I didn't know.
Right. And Rico knew, and Rico was never one to keep too many secrets. You just had to ask him. He wasn't ever really too loud about it, you know?
Yeah, he wasn't a big loudmouth out there blasting on, you know, the airwaves, if you will. Right. So then I started feeding her large mice, and she looked a lot better. Everything changed, but she never, ever went through an ovulation cycle. And they actually lived full lives till they died of old age. They're like 24-year-old animals, dude. They were just like that old ball python. They were brittle. Winston Murdoch up in Pennsylvania, the doctor, is that right?
Don't know him.
Does that sound right? He used to do chondros up in Pennsylvania. Winston, I think it was Winston Murdoch's. Maybe somebody.
I never dove that much deep
into it. But he talked about that. He goes, when chondros get when they get really old, he goes, you got to be careful if you ever take them out because they're brittle. He goes, you'll feel their ribs break and all this stuff.
Not
Max, they were in their 20s. And it's like, no. It was, I think it was.
I don't remember. I don't know that many chondro people.
Like
I knew Trooper and
so anyway.
And I got involved in Eugene. That, and I started and Eugene was, Eugene was never like a drink the Kool-Aid with the private, with the bloodline chondros, those guys. He wasn't one of those really elitist types. I used to enjoy talking to Rico. From the coalition perspective, they're a bunch of stuck-up pricks, but I did enjoy talking to Rico a pretty good bit and tried my best to raise as much money for his benefits while he was fighting brain cancer.
That's another tragedy.
The late Rico Walter, guys, you can hear his name throughout the surges of reptile history now. Passed away about 4 or 5 years ago now from brain cancer, sadly.
Really smart guy. Really smart.
Incredibly smart. I believe AV Incubators, was that also his company that he made those incubators, right? Was that AV?
So.
AV was his incubator company, which was basically just a marine ice chest turned into a very, very precise incubator. Like that was a precision incubator. You could buy a Lions. Remember the Lions, the acrylic ones that the zoos used with those things were stupid expensive. And what it was? Remember what it was? Money. It was just an acrylic hovabator. It had a spring heater
insane,
in the
dude.
top.
I know.
Heater in
I'm like, it's how much money? Are you
I was
nuts?
Like, what? Are you fucking crazy? It's an aquarium guy built.
Yeah, I can't remember what the price was, but it was nuts. Oh, I think I dropped.
Just you. Did just I crash or you crashed? What the fuck? Stream's crashing around us. Are you guys still here? Pipe up. You still here, bro? Dude, fucking StreamYard just had a giant shit fit. Are you here?
I think I'm back.
Yeah, I'm back. You're good.
Good. Yeah, so the Chondro thing didn't work out, but it was cool keeping them.
StreamYard did not like us shitting on Lions incubators, bro. StreamYard was like, that was our business before we started StreamYard. Fuck you guys.
Down the tubes, man.
Oh, fuck. Oh, we're here. We're good. All
so
right. Well,
so it was cool keeping
guys.
It was cool keeping green trees. I enjoyed them. They had a full life, and they just died of old age. You know, it's like,
I fully enjoyed them. And guess what? The cages that I built out of Maxwell's book, my 3x2x2 Formica inside, hard oak outside, like crazy looking, are finally going in the dumpster next week, bro. They're finally shot to shit. Because remember, he built them out of MDF and he wrapped them in shelf paper. I did mine out of MDF and I put Formica instead. And then after I broke my back, I couldn't go in there and reseal them with the Formica. And my employees just with the, but we had the diamonds, and the chondros and stuff. They're in there spraying, moistening all the fucking, now it's all swollen and shit. Oh, yeah. But I tell you what, though, we're going to have fun throwing them away. Speaking of, Corbin says, we're good. Corbin, you know when I'll be good? When your ass comes over here and helps me throw those cages in the dumpster. He happens to live like 2 miles away from me, so he gets roped in. Come help me cut these fucking chondro cages up and throw them in the dumpster, and I'll give you a snake.
Or put them out in the yard and burn them. Burn them in the yard, man.
It's too much plastic and shit. Formaldehyde. I'm like, at this point, if they were
the whole neighborhood,
if they were all oak, it would be fine. But I'm already doing enough bad service by having one outdoor cat.
That's great.
Like one outdoor cat and all the fucking animal rights people, reptile rights people in the world want to kill me. You know.
Yep.
You know my reasoning is there though, Matt. I bought 5 acres of land. In Louisiana that's surrounded by horse people with no horses on it.
Yeah.
And it's 5 acres of grass. And I planted 4 different species of incredibly cold hardy, incredibly invasive, incredibly feral bamboo. So my thought is this. You realize how much Louisiana wildlife I'm raising in my bamboo?
Oh yeah.
More than 10,000 cats could probably eat.
Yeah.
If you saw the amount of life that I've brought to this land, I know I sound like a fuck. You know what I sound like right now? I sound like the fucking lion from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. You know, I'm like, I brought life to this land. You know, but seriously, when I moved here and I was talking to you about like literally you telling me that your tortoise required an acre, and I was like, I've got 4.5. Fuck it.
Yeah.
I'm good. I don't care. Right. I'm literally looking at 5 acres of grass. The first like 3 times I cut it, I was like, oh, fuck this. Oh,
yeah, I'm done.
Let me fuck this.
Yeah,
so I planted a hedgerow of a runner that is now about 30 feet thick and 490 feet long.
Nice.
Okay. There's one in the front that's half that size. That's the one in the back. There's one in the front half that size. And then my clumper groves are like 30 feet tall and I've probably got 1/2 to 3/4 of an acre of clumpers.
And
so,
there's
dude,
probably
I'm raising some
couple thousand rats and squirrels.
Rabbits.
Rabbits.
Like I see rabbits running in my yard.
Yeah.
I found the same speckled king snake with a fucking half a tail missing 3 times.
That's
2 of which he was feeding when I found him. Nice. You know, it's like snakes. I feel good about me. Okay, so fuck you and my cat. My cat's out there to keep the you know what my cat was out there for? When my employee let one of my fucking rhinoceros iguanas go.
Jesus.
The fucking cat caught the iguana, dude.
Jesus, man.
Yeah, a little tabby cat killed a
Was it alive?
No, she ripped his fucking head.
She killed it.
She destroyed it. Yeah, it was horrible.
Jesus. Wow.
It was horrible. But in the defense of it, it's not running loose feral in Louisiana. That's true. The employee paid for it and then some because the error was grievous.
Oh yeah.
The error was grievous.
Yeah.
Right. And probably one of the errors that made me shut that building down for the most part. So I don't know if I'll get back into iguana production. So all right. So we're running up on our time and let's get back to python business. Short tail pythons. Short tails.
Yeah, You know,
blacks?
I used
no reds on your list.
No, I worked with them and I had such bad experiences. I was like, this.
What were your bad experiences? Because I only pretty much worked with red and I loved them.
I had so much trouble trying to get them to tame down, and it was.
Oh,
they were bad, dude.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
It's not like where it is today. It was early stages, and dude, they were satanic, man. They were the worst.
I remember. I told a story on the show about that. I think with McCurley on the episode a few weeks ago of the fact that a red blood came in and got loose at an importer's place here locally, and that when I got to the importers, everyone was scared, and I wondered why.
Nobody wanted to get near.
They had a giant crocodile monitor and a retic that was wild caught, and it was a wild red blood that was jammed in a corner.
Terrifying, dude.
And it was fucking everybody
man.
there was like, I'm never near that thing.
We're not gonna touch this thing, man.
And I'm like over there, like petting it on the side.
I literally,
I'm like the blood. I'm the blood whisperer, though. I'm telling you, I'm the blood whisperer.
I hesitate to tell this. I hesitate to tell this story, but I probably will because you might not get Matt Turner on here. But Doug Barr. Remember Doug Barr?
Of course, I talked to Doug too. I'd have Doug on here too. Yeah,
he was. I believe he was at Matt Turner's place, and one of my Borneos. He's like, "Hey, take a look at this thing." It was one of the Borneos he got from the blackhead trade, and he's like, "Look at this thing." And Doug's like, "Wow, man, that thing's crazy looking." And he opens the cage, and it shoots out, and it bites Doug right on the knee. I mean, it's like the first thing it did was bit him on the kneecap. And he's like, "Oh my god, what the hell is wrong with this snake?" And they're like, "It's flailing, it's pooing, it's peeing everywhere. They're trying to catch it. It's slippery."
Because to me, Doug never strikes me as a reptile guy.
So funny.
He doesn't ever strike me as a reptile guy. I mean, I know he's into it. But I mean, but he's the cage guy. He's the builder. He's Bob the Builder. He's like, oh, there's Bob the Builder. Oh,
making his cages and just doing his thing.
That's
and
it.
Yeah, it was. When Matt told me the story, I was like, "What? It bit him on the kneecap?" Like, oh, he goes, "Yeah, dude, blood everywhere, man. It was like crazy." So I started working with blacks. The black Sumatrans, the Southerns, was the first species that I was successful with, and I don't have a lot of good pictures from back then, man, but I enjoyed these things. I
now have a beautiful pair of these now. Nice. Yeah. Oh yeah. You incubated them in hoverbaters. You had to use fish containers underneath the hoverbaters.
Well,
right?
What I did was I had the whole bottom
fish
of the
styros.
I used the whole bottom of the hoverbaiter was damp vermiculite. I sat the eggs on it, and then I covered them in sphagnum moss, a big thick layer.
Oh, that's how you did it. Okay.
And I would spray it like twice a week.
I was going to say you had to spray like mad.
Yeah, it was like the perfect humidity balance. So, and they would hatch out and do great, man. And I hate to say it, I got out of the species because I couldn't sell them. Nobody would buy them. Literally.
Yeah, and that's the thing too.
Sell those snakes.
I got to be honest with you; they are very difficult to sell. But if you breed them in a posthumous amount, like you're very, very conservative about it, like Tracy had a very great blood python methodology that I would love to do an entire show with her only on blood pythons, just for the and maybe Kara Norris as well. Kara used to roll with Kev. Because Kara's the big in bloods too, right?
She's still kicking it,
right. And so that was Kevin McCurley from Nerds, ex-girlfriend from years ago, whatever, right? And she moved on to bloods. So for you guys that have no fucking clue what us old fucks are talking about, this is what I wanted to bring up: a hovabator. If you don't have any idea what a hovabator is, like, look at how new they look now. They're all rounded now.
I know,
they got a new
slick,
mold,
man.
They got a new mold.
Look at that. Yeah.
You know what sucks about the new mold though? I bet it doesn't fit on a fish styro for shit.
Yeah, you're probably
because
right.
that's probably why they changed it because people were using fish styros for the bottoms and not buying their deep bottoms.
Exactly.
This is what they used to look like, folks, when we had them. They were rectangular. And if you go to your aquarium store and you look at it, you got use guys. Hey, Mike, look at me. I'm wearing this shirt. I just got it yesterday. Thank you for the shirt, brother. Yeah, man.
Yeah, you could jam those onto the shipping containers.
Mike, you know what we're talking about, boo. We're talking about hovabators, baby. We're talking about the way to do it. We're talking about kicking the tires. Back when this is how you check the car, right? You kick the tires, right? That's what Grandpa told me, to kick the tires. That's it. It's square. You put a fishing, you put a fish shipping styro underneath it.
Fits right on.
And it fits right on it. And it works perfectly to make it a deeper bed for you to put deeper vermiculite
bigger clutches,
bigger clutches, ball pythons, all that type of stuff. So isn't that friggin' crazy the shit that we had to deal with, coming up on this.
Nowadays it's so slick today.
Look at
today it's so slick and easy, if you will. It is. It's funny how it is
slick and easy. These motherfuckers. There's no other way to say it. I'm sorry.
The touch of the internet, they have all the answers right there.
Kids, these people are spoiled.
I know.
fucking
struggles,
kids, man.
the struggles. But what's funny is I wound up
both ways in the snow.
I literally couldn't sell black Sumatrans, man, because like nobody knew what they were, nobody wanted them, and I wound up selling babies to. Well, say, guess who I sold babies to? Tyrone Dillon.
To Ty from Calzoo.
He bought them for, and he bought them for $40 each. $40. He's like,
he was buying them from you cheaper than he was buying them from Cameron to get wild brought in from
right, dude.
Malagasy. Right. Well, so like I mean from Malaysia. Malagasy. Listen to me.
Yep.
Malaysia. Wrong continent. Wrong area. Brain fart. There you go. Old guy thing. Old guy. Too many M's. Too many M's. Not enough L's. Too many M's. Yeah, so like I gotta be honest though, bro. Like whoever started the whole chrome head thing and did that whole thing really kind of surged it out. But you know now, bro, I could sell a blood like I could sell anything, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm like
they've gotten more popular and people are into
but it's not just it's not that. It's understanding the physiology of the blood python. And you can explain to people that reds are the only mean ones.
Yeah.
That blacks aren't mean and Borneos are like little babies.
They're generally very easy going. Yep. Exactly.
And
reds have gotten better also. Yeah.
Reds have definitely gotten better.
Yeah.
But I would
They're
like
still on the sketchier side.
Yeah, but bro, I'm not gonna kid you. When I was doing chondros and red bloods regularly in the shop, I was buying from Cameron from Bushmaster, and I would buy a dozen of each every time I'd order.
Yep.
And I would work with the reds for years. I worked with his from those wild captive hatch babies, and I never had issues, bro. They grew up. Some of them were aggressive. But Grace, my employee, Grace is like 95 pounds, skinny, like she's small. She's not like tiny, but she's a small person, right? But she would handle those bloods. And I think like one day, Matt, she looked at me and she's just like, I think I'm over the bloods.
Yeah. I still keep
buddy, it's that time of year, Mikey. I got a lock out of my anthills tonight. All my Anthraceas were banging the other night, buddy. It's the perfect time of the year for Anthracea sex. Congratulations. Find out what line you're working with there, bro. Find out what line you're working with there, Mike. If you're working with Don Patterson stuff, let's do a trade this year if you're successful with your babies, because I have Casey, Doug Price, Casey Lazick stuff, and there's really, from what I've understood from Nick Mutton, there's only two bloodlines. There's those two, Dons and those. Because I honestly, they were just ugly little brown snakes that were hard to get to feed, right? Nobody was really fucking with those very much hardcore, except for a couple of guys. Yeah. And now, I don't know if you've ever followed it up much, bro, but there are a ton of morphs in Australia.
That's what I've heard.
Perthensis, but of children eye.
Yeah, I have seen some of that.
God,
dude. There's some cool
T-positive albinos and all kind of like. So I anticipate this getting to be a thing here.
That's cool.
As soon as
I tell you what, are neat just because they're so small.
That's such an easy thing to smuggle. I bet. Oh God, you could put those fuckers inside of like a coffee pot, inside a coffee maker, and screw it together and put it back in the box and ship it to Amazon. Oh fuck yeah, dude! Come on, Australia! I'm rolling.
I have
dice.
no doubt.
Come
no
on,
doubt.
Australia.
They'll magically appear in Europe, and then they'll magically appear in the U.S. So
no. You know what's funny? You know what'll magically appear? An Australian reptile breeder on vacation to Tinley Park for 2 days in America.
Exactly.
No. We had this conversation the other day, bro. It's fucking hilarious. Think about it, Matt. If an Australian could take a vacation to America, how long would that Australian stay in America? And if that Australian came to America and only stayed for Tinley Park weekend, do you really think that was a legal situation? I do not think so. Because if I came to this country like that, I'd stay here for a month and just go see some cool shit.
Exactly.
He was only here for 3 days, and he only went to Tinley and the steakhouse. What?
What? It doesn't make any sense.
What? That makes no sense at all. Like when I was in Memphis, Tennessee, and a guy from South Africa said, "I'm here for a plant grow operation." I'm like, "Yeah, I bet you are.
I bet you are.
I bet you are."
Were you at the Orlando show when they pinched the guy from Germany? And who else did they pinch? There was a whole crew, and they were chasing him around the parking lot, and he ditched his wife and kids. I can't remember what the guy's name was now, but it was crazy.
No, the only guy I ever knew from Orlando days that had a little shtick was Bo.
Gregory
Bo Lewis.
Yeah. You know, Lewis. It's funny because I actually used to talk to him a lot many moons ago through John Hollister, had like a
honestly,
internet relay chat or whatever.
You might have introduced me to Bo in Orlando when we met the first year, if we did meet in 99.
And I
the year he went away. Because he went away right after.
I had no clue what that guy was into. And then I was like, what? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
I bought him a drink.
Man.
Yeah, like, I was 18 years old and I bought him a drink and I was too young to even drink and I didn't even drink. And he's like, kid, buy me a drink. And I'm like, all right. Okay. He seemed like a cool guy, right? Yeah, and he's talking to me, and then this dude's like, yeah, that guy you were talking to in Orlando got arrested. And I'm like, for what? And he was like, oh, he smuggles Komodo dragons. And I was like, what? I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, he's the Komodo dragon dealer. And I'm like, there's a Komodo dragon dealer? And I was like, all right. And I bought him a drink. Awesome. I don't even drink. I mean, this is a fucking great time. Yeah. I hope I left that up comment up there long enough for your anthills to be fertile there tonight, Mike. I give you truly my best wishes, because you know what happens when you get a fertile anthill? It's like getting a fertile blackhead. Your life goes to hell after that. You know, it's like, oh fuck, now I gotta hatch the eggs. Now I gotta get them to eat. Oh shit, now they're all dead.
Yep.
Oh, what am I
gonna do it again next year?
Right. Oh man, so much fun on this podcast, bro. This is great. Can you believe that there are so many of us out there still doing this?
Yeah. Just kicking it, man. You know, there's a lot that have gone away, but there's still a lot of.
You know, you're the industry now, though, right? You know, you're the industry now. You know, you've made somebody go out and buy clothespins tonight. You know that, right?
What the hell is that?
Like, I don't know what the fuck. I was using binder clips, but this dude is like old wise. Dude, this guy is like magic. I'm gonna go buy fucking wood.
School. It's retarded. It's great. This is unbelievable. So what does this mean? That means that it fed. That means that it didn't feed. This means that it's gravid. This means that it's going to shed. That's it. It's the whole thing. That's my software package right there.
Then I want to come in with a flash water and go.
Oh yeah, when they can pull up, like But it is. I don't do any software.
No, it's fine. We use binder clips, and I use binder clips. And you know what else? Here's a good one for you. You know what I use? A pricing gun, a simple one-line pricing gun, and we use that for feedings. Okay. So when we get babies, how we do it is we take the price gun and we'll have like a category line. Like let's say 0 would be assist fed. 1 is a mouse, 2 is a rat, 3 is an ASF.
That's cool.
4 is a full force feed, right?
I like that.
And then so she'll change the number and then put the actual date.
Okay.
And then whenever the animal has had a 1 or a 2, which means a mouse or a rat, as long as the animal has had a 1 or a 2, 5 consecutive stickers, we sell it.
You're good. Yeah.
That's
cool, man. That's cool.
That's exactly how we do it. So she only marks 5 stickers. Once it has 5 stickers, we don't give a fuck no more about when it eats, what it eats.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's what
we don't care.
My baby racks. That's what I do. I do check marks
to do it.
I do check marks on babies and I just do a sticky and a check mark, and it's like I just keep doing check marks, and then after, like you said, 3 or 4, don't care. They're fine.
Tim Bailey used to use pennies on the rack, and the pennies denoted things. Oh, and he had to slide them around. Dude. That was a little bit much, bro.
That was
a little much. That was a little much.
You bump a rack and they all fall off. You're like, oh my god.
But you got to know Tim though, right? Tim is very disciplined in his keeping, so that's just his way. Like I said, here we use binder clips, just standard binder clips for breeding, for whether a male in there or not, right? And then of course our tubs look like hell when we're breeding because we put the follicle numbers on the front. We write them on the front, so every year there's numbers all over the front of every people come in and what are these fucking numbers?
Yeah, bro? What is this? I just do the stickers.
It's my guide.
Yep, I do the stickers. It has the male that went in or males, and then the date that they were in, and that's it, man. Right. It's simple as possible. I don't ultrasound. I just pick them up and look at them. I don't palpate.
That's
for follicles.
Perfectly fine.
I just look at the snake and I can tell if it's going to go or not. You know, I mean, at any point in the year,
because you're actually at that point waiting for the follicles, right? I mean,
it's been so many years.
Which means if you're not breeding them before that point, you are losing some. That's just what I'm saying. Yeah. And in that moment when you talked about your chondro that went that long without going through an ovulatory cycle, it would have been amazing to look at that with an ultrasound because you missed it. You missed it. And you missed it. And you missed it. And you missed it. And you would have missed it. And you know what? She was just off.
Yep. I should have kept them together year round. I should have kept them together year round, dude.
You know what I did with the diamonds before I sent them? Before the male got a broken neck in hibernation, somehow he fucked his neck up in brumation, so he couldn't breed anymore. He never climbed on a perch after he hurt his neck.
Yep.
And we kept him for years and kept him sustained until he finally failed, and so we did away. But I bred diamond pythons without ever brumating them. I bred them in a room with ball pythons. I've done it 3 times. I did it with an ultrasound every time. I just ultrasounded them when I did the ball pythons all year, every year, once a month. They got ultrasounded, and when they had 10, I threw a male in, and then when they showed 15, I threw them in again, and then they were 20, 25, 30.
I'm thinking the Bowl and I guys may need to try and do that. You know,
I don't know why. If they haven't tried to do it, they are absolutely unintelligent. That's it. I'm sorry. You know,
because I know I think Keith McPeak is keeping year round together now, and some of the other guys are kind of doing something similar. I know the guy in Germany's having some success with them, but nobody can say definitively like this is the recipe. Like blackheads, we've got down now. Early on, the barbers had a hard time, and everybody had a hard time, and now it's like almost turnkey. Like we can reproduce a blackhead like this at this stage.
I was just speaking to someone who said that they had a friend who has repeatedly produced Bowl and I in the same method. With the same method.
Well, I want to say in Germany, there's a guy that's like 3 or 4 years.
He's here, and the person mentioned to me that they wanted to have him on the show.
Were they in South Florida?
No, I believe I want to say they actually own a store or something. Yeah, it was strange. Guys, I talked to a lot of you, okay? And so when you're like, dude, it was just me the other day, and you feel like you're fucking, like I've completely forgotten about you because Santa Claus was more important. Trust me, I still believe in Santa, and I just have too much shit in my brain. My buddy called me last night to talk to me about his reef tank, and I stopped him mid-conversation, and I said, Dev, I have already started forgetting fish shit, bro. I was like, honestly, if you want me to tell you how to eradicate lithium from your water, you'll have to give me until tomorrow.
Yeah, I need a little time to read.
And in that time, I will find the perfect solution to lithium. But in that time, you could have asked Google like 5,000 times again.
Yeah.
So just go fucking ask them, you know. But it was just like, man, I got lithium levels are really high, and it's weird, and I've never had this problem before. And I'm like, I'm glad you decided to call me, but I retired from this job.
I'm done with that, man.
Fuck this. Done with that shit. But I mean, like, your brain has so much holding capacity.
Oh yeah.
You know?
So still doing the Borneo stuff, just in very limited numbers at this point. I hit a burnout stage with them.
Yeah.
And you know, and that's fine. You know, there was a couple of guys that
I think Borneo's hit a burnout stage because they had no new mutations coming in, and you guys were actually crossing them with shit, which is fucking stupid.
No, at least the people in my circle, everybody was like, man, we're keeping this stuff pure. You know, there was a few folks that hybridize stuff, but
I'm ultra actually bright over in red territory for sure.
I am anti
I know you're anti-hybrid. Yeah, me and you are. You're anti-hybrid across the board.
Yeah, if they're gonna do it, they're gonna do it. And like as long as you disclose it, I'm fine with it. But really, I just don't think it's a good idea at the end of the day. And
so the ultra brights, a few people took the ultra bright combos and stuff. Jody did back in the day, took them to a new level with Tracy.
Yep. And I know Matt Minatola has been making really nutty ones. Dan Magano is making some crazy stuff, man.
Who's that?
And Dan Magano, I forget how you say his name, up in Vermont. I think he's made some cool stuff recently. And there's still Will Hooper in Okeechobee's making some nice stuff. Yeah, so there's people out there still working with it. They're still doing it.
Still worked. It's
they're just not
mainstream
going nuts with it. Yeah,
like with the pied red blood and the pie and the fucking and the what's that other one? The wrought iron, bro.
God, the pied bloods are cool, dude. And
Tim's got pieds. There's pieds right here, bro. A couple miles from me.
Yep.
A couple miles from me.
Do you know who's selling the pied bloods?
Who's you?
I'm the guy.
You are? Really?
I'm the guy. Yep.
They came from you?
Nope. But I am the contact.
Oh, you're the one selling them. Okay.
So I'm selling them for the owner right now.
Oh.
And
got any more for sale?
Yeah, actually.
Really?
There's T negative pieds available right now, and pied possible het T eggs.
Pied possible het T eggs. What's the price taker on a pied these days?
It's up there. I'm not going to throw any numbers out on the air, if you will, but here's what we can tell these folks if anybody is interested. If you don't have at least, if you're afraid to spend $10,000, don't even think about a pied blood, because it's more than that. So it's very simple. You know,
I think they're probably like, you can say it. I mean, it's probably like 25 grand. Something like that. You know, it ain't a big deal.
Somewhere around there.
Talk about ball python prices on here. We pull up MorphMarket with the actual price. So they're not on MorphMarket, are they?
No.
Why the fuck not?
Because I'm the only person right now that's the point of contact. There's a way to get to the owner that has them. but he doesn't like to deal with the public. He doesn't deal with anybody, and he only deals with people that he knows and he's old buddies.
Sell him.
Yeah, no, we are. We got some stuff out there, and there's some that are above the radar, and there's some that are still below the radar. So there's a few folks that haven't gone public yet, but it's a really cool project. You know, there were some naysayers that said it's a hybrid, and I can 100% guarantee it ain't a hybrid, kids. Not at all in any way.
What is a hybrid with a ball python?
Yeah, no.
Are you fucking retarded?
Yeah. No, trust me. There are people that are trying to push that.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not. They're trying to push that narrative. You can't do it, dude.
Fake the head of a goddamn tortoise. Are you kidding me?
There's not enough years to make that look like a blood again. You can do it with, and I shouldn't say this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. You can do it with the Honduran.
Well, the Honduran what?
Milk. You can make a Honduran look like a Honduran milk again quicker than you can make a blood python hybrid look like a blood again. Because there's that's another story altogether. But there's some interesting stories from way back in the day about Hondos and the albinos, and people breeding them to albino cow kings and going, dude, what's going on? We're getting clutches of visual babies, you know. So you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
There's a little bit of speculation about the origin of the albino, but that's not a
the origin of the albino. What?
Honduran milk.
Honduran. Oh yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah. There's some controversy surrounding the stuff that was overseas and whatnot. There's some pretty funny things that have been said and done, and people that put stuff together down here and went, "These things, we shouldn't be seeing what we're seeing. You know, we should not be seeing this." But anyway, that's another story. But yeah, the pied blood is cool. They're really neat, and I can't say a whole lot about it right now, like the backstory on it, because it's not that it's a big hush thing or anything. It's just I don't disclose information without talking to the owner first. When he says, yeah, we can put this out there, then I start to talk again.
We might have a talk after the show, because I don't know which way. I'm on the fence. I'm going in a direction, and I don't know what direction that is. I'm either going to, I'm not going into ball pythons again, other than puzzles, and I've got a tri-stripe breeding a highway right now next door and stuff like that. Cool. Like just little dumb shit like that. Like shit that I have. I'm not spending money on. I'm not buying them. I'm not spending money. If I spend money on ball pythons with you, it's going to be in May of this year, and it's going to be 80% off your retail price from last year. And you're not going to like it. That's actually going to
get ready, kids.
That's it. It's like get ready to drop a zero. Let's go 10x down. I mean, but then again, look, the economy fucking is surprising the shit out of me right now. It is absolutely surprising the shit out of me right now. So I mean, who knows where it's going and how? But great in mysteries. The way of, I'm either going heavily into crested geckos and other powdered food eating lizards like that. Which would definitely bring me down Ron St. Pierre's lane and those anoles, because they eat that food.
They're cool,
right? They eat the powdered food. They'll eat the Pangea food. That's what he's feeding them. And
they're pretty. They're so beautiful. It's unbelievable.
And they're beautiful, and they're substantial. Right? They're not.
Yeah, it's not a little tiny thing. It's like
they're not gentrified fucking crested, right? They're not gentrified crested geckos where all the hairy armpit college girls have them.
No, it's a meaty animal.
I have a crested gecko, and it has a frill, and I have armpit hair because women have a right to have armpit hair. You know, that's crested geckos for a lot of people, at least to me. The gentrification of reptiles is in crested geckos. The gentrification of amphibians is a axolotl. You know, I mean, the gentrification. Like I sound like Frank from Shameless. Gentrification, motherfucking gentrified. So
that's essentially how it worked out. You know, still I turned the Borneo stuff off, but I'm going to get back to it at some point. You know, I've got a
I'm surprised you don't want to work the pied blood project.
All my resources are going elsewhere. I'm putting a bedroom and bathroom in the back of the house, a fourth garage. So it's like, that's where all my money's headed right now.
I got you.
I will at some point, just for fun. I will do that just for kicks, but
they need a lot of work. They need a lot of work, because they're really dark, and they're really, really, really dark.
Yeah. They're going to get a lot of work.
But no, they're going to get there. But whoever's doing them, if they want some advice, tell them to breed them to the zigzag line from VPI. Get that.
That's probably a good idea. And I would also think like the flower stuff might be good to do. You know, these guys are all going to figure it out.
Yeah, in the way of flowers, I don't know what the hell she ever did with flowers, but I made the zigzag. The zigzags are the reddest bloods I've ever made, and the super zigzag that I made, I have a male. I think it's a male. He's not a very fast grower. He's very small, oddly enough. But what I thought was the super zigzag, and the funny thing is it's like something. It's like why even make it, right? It's like a scaleless ball. It doesn't look nearly as good as the zigzag line. If you have just the het is like solid.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that project?
No, I'm not.
The zigzag project?
No, I haven't.
Dude, they're ridiculously red. They're ridiculously red. And Tracy sold Tim and I when we were working the bloods together. She sold us some. I'm trying to find a photo. What I love about having history on the internet is that you can just look shit up and actually find
there it is.
Yeah, and actually locate some of it. Yeah. Zigzag. Put a space. You know what it is? I'm gonna tell you what it is. It's because I used fucking Bing. Zigzag.
It won't find it.
Blood pipe. No, it's just the Bing image search just sucks balls.
Okay.
All of them suck compared to Google.
Yeah.
All of them are terrible. Oh God. It didn't really show up when I wanted to show up on Google either. I figured it would pull up one of the old ones. I mean, here's one that Tim had. They were all young though. We had some pictures of some older ones that were really, anyway, the zigzag blood is just really, really red.
Yeah, I'll look. I'll try and look into it.
It's just really, but we never did a lot with them. See, look, I mean, this is the young ones. Look at the young ones.
Okay,
see?
Yeah.
Like, you see how red the young one is?
Cool.
Like, that's how red that one is.
Yeah.
That's
that's really
insane.
Bright.
Like, oh well, that's that zigzag martyr, whatever. That is. Imagine what that looks like at 5 feet, bro.
Oh yeah, crazy.
It is fucking blood.
Yeah, it'll be blood. Crazy red.
Freshly squeezed blood, dude.
Yes.
Freshly squozed blood, for sure. Yeah,
fresh
absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely awesome. So, what about ball pythons? To round off our night, then we're gonna talk about gouramis for some reason.
That's an inside joke.
I realized that because I'm going to ask about it because it was way back in the day. It was way back in the day. It was way back in the chat. I'm not even
so I got on the balls 92. You know, I got my first male. I didn't know what sex it was, and once I was living with these guys down in Tampa, we just started picking up stuff, and we were kind of limited on how much we could keep because we were in a 3-bedroom townhouse, and the living room and the family room were just racked out, and we were just using glass tanks. I mean, that's really
fucking
it was either
everywhere.
That or melamine, you know, it's all
glass tanks everywhere.
Oh yeah,
shells,
so we would do 3,
everywhere.
4 high, you know, all the way to the ceiling, and you know, it was hard to work in that environment. But that's what you had. You know, you didn't. The freedom breeder stuff really wasn't out there and available at that point, and you know, once it got going, then it's like, oh, okay, we went into the vision cages, and then eventually I got some freedom breeder stuff, but it was the really early stuff, and the quality wasn't quite what it is.
Well, you had cheese grater tops. You had
exactly.
You had the expanded metal tops and everything.
So when ARS came out with their stuff, I went with that because it was just slicker, smoother. The feel and quality was better, and then Freedom Breeder stepped it way up again, another big notch. And I was already like, "Wow!"
Didn't that suck when you bought ARS? I was like, "I'm already
literally
6 months later." Yeah, Jeff at Freedom Breeder back then was so innovative and just came and swooped in there and made some badass shit. And you were like, "Motherfucker, I already bought all this shit."
I've got
tens of thousands of dollars, bro. Tens of thousands of dollars.
So the ball thing was funny because I was breeding normals and selling them for like $100 a pop, you know, and maybe $60 here and there to, you know, buddies and friends and whatnot. And you know, you got good money for normals back then because nobody was working with them. And Kevin and those guys were just in the infancy of that whole thing. Bob Clark with the albino, which he bought from, I'm going to put this right on record, which he bought from Joe Foster. He imported it, but it's like, no, Joe got that animal from Noah and sold it to Bob.
And sold it to
it's
Bob.
Like, don't cut out Joe. Joe's the guy that brought it in. I mean, the pictures are right there.
Yeah, but that's Bob's style, bro. Bob's style is to be the only superstar on a block. That's why we interviewed him once. We interviewed him once. We heard what he had to say once. And we only needed to hear it once. And if you want to listen to Bob Clark, get on fucking Spotify or Apple or iTunes. And it's a good time for me to plug the audio versions. You can download this one whenever I feel like uploading it later on in time, which will be in time because I'm slow uploading them because I want you motherfuckers here subscribing. Stop what you're doing. We've lost a lot of people here in the chat because it's late at night and we're all ready to go home. We're getting to be late. But at the same time, we've covered so much ground here. We've so much ground.
So I eventually picked up an albino off of a friend that is now deceased in North Jersey. And that was like my first morph. I was like, I got to get an albino. and I just started working that project. And then I took that money and bought from John Pirro, bought a female pied. He actually, I don't know if you remember it, but he hatched a pair of twin pieds and he brought them to Daytona. And I said, dude, I got to have that girl. And he's like, it's 4 days old. He goes, it hasn't even eaten.
And
I'm
it
like,
was
I
small
gotta
too.
have it, dude. Yeah, they were half the size. I said, I want it. If there's a problem, we'll deal with it. And he's like, all right. We made a deal, and that was that's where it all got started.
I miss him so much. You know, if it'd lie me if you're still in the chat. We got to get that motherfucker back into snakes. How do I do it, John? How do I do it?
I don't
bro?
think so, man. He is out. I haven't talked to him in many, many years. But he was a great guy. Had a lot of fun.
I think it would be wonderful to have him back on the show, especially,
told, man,
you know, I'd like to have him and Vin Russo on a show together.
Yeah.
Just together, just two Brooklyn, because they're both because they're my two friends that are in the Brooklyn Bonsai Society. They're like my Brooklyn two like bonsai friends that are like upper echelon. Like I know a couple guys that are in the Manhattan Bonsai Society, and you're like, what? And one of them works at the Botanical Gardens in Brooklyn. What? And you're like, cool. Yeah, I mean, royalty of bonsai, you know. But I mean, that everybody here just would worship Vin for boas and stuff.
Oh,
and I'm just like, but we had reef tanks and bonsai together, motherfucker. We all have the same hobbies. Like literally me and John Pirro and Vin Russo and several other people are kind of made from the same fucking cloth, dude. And it's creepy. To get around somebody and you're like, and I was using this thing and I took this piece of wire and he was like, what kind of wire did you use? And I was like, I use this weird wire I use for trees. And what do you mean bonsai wire? And you get on this whole conversation, you realize, oh, they do that too. Wow. Innovative same thing with me and you. So tonight has been probably the longest, widest species journey.
A little bit
that I've done on this show so far.
And we actually didn't even get near a lot of stuff, man. Not even close. There's so many. I could just keep rabbit holing on all types of stuff about these animals. And
I'm just talking about the species that are listed on your site alone. Because this shows the plethora of animals you've worked with. It shows the rounded knowledge that you have.
There's a lot of stuff that's not even on there, man. That's not even on the site that we're
going to have to probably shut this show down now and come back for another time, another day. Like this might be a part 2. With the Bob Clark, you only needed one. This dude right here needs more than you.
I can
that
give you
right
plenty
there
more time, dude.
Value. That's value right there. And earned respect too. I love you, bro. I'll always
and likewise, I appreciate it. You know,
you supported me through my worst times in my life.
Absolutely,
the times when you saw the absolute most horrible me, and you were always there for me as a friend.
We always had good dealings. We always had good times.
Anytime we ever did business, the few times we really ever did business in actuality, we were both too busy doing business with other people. You know,
but hanging out at the show, having a good time, and here's the quick one. Can you place the last face-to-face that we had and who else was there and what we were doing?
Jesus Christ. No, I'm just going to
It's not as long as you think, but I think it was 4 years ago and 4 years ago in Daytona when you came?
The very last Daytona that I came was probably 5 years ago.
5 years ago. And we were sitting in the NASCAR bar and you were on one side. I mean, who was on the other side? Do you remember? Josh Jensen.
Oh, yeah.
And Josh is karate chopping me for like 2 hours, and you're ear chewing me for 2 hours, and I was like, "This is the craziest thing I've ever been in." He's literally beating me up, and you're here talking to me, and I was like, "How are we having this conversation?" Because Josh was these karate moves on me, man.
Josh was
hysterical. I was like, "This is the most wild, man." This is too
that was
bizarre.
The night he got in a car wreck on the way home, though, and after that, he was like all tightened up because he ran into he fell asleep at the red light driving towards somebody. He ran into somebody at a red light. And he was all fucking freaked out about it the next day. And I was like, you had too much fun last night. I told you, even though you live close to here, you got to stay here. You can't go do that shit.
It was a great
your
night,
old lady that you got to get a room. I don't care if you live down the street. If they start putting a giant reptile expo in New Orleans, motherfucker, I am not driving home at night. I'm sorry. I'm staying.
Exactly.
I'm staying somewhere. And I wish we could do something like that close to me. So for all of you guys in Florida that have been close to Daytona, for all of you that are close to Pomona, for all of you that are close to Tinley Park, to Arlington, a proper fuck you from the rest of us that don't get to have so much fun and save so much money, right? We don't get to go to the show and go home and eat lunch and sleep in our bed and then go back and spend more money. And we don't. Oh, yeah, escalator ride. Last time I was there, the Savages, Ricky Savage gave me the escalator. It was the escalator ride. Like that's a secret. It's like that's like Jay from Jay and Silent Bob's like jerk off, right? That's like one of his like, oh, have you done the thing? Right? Like, no, that's not what I'm talking about here. That's not what I'm talking about at all. I was trying to bring up a fucking Facebook page here where I could actually see where because it's on my Facebook page. It shows up in my top photos because people must love it that much when you are or when I'm on my own wall. I'm there now. See, I might no, that wasn't it. That wasn't it. It was him pushing me. It was this picture of me that I was thinking of. That was that Daytona too. Yeah. He was just loving pushing me at that Daytona, man.
Yep.
That was it.
That's great.
That Daytona, right? That Daytona, I had dinner with me and Cheyenne and Gabe, had dinner with Donato and the fat man himself, Chris Eaton. That was a great dinner. Me and Chris and Donato harassed the waitress chick the entire time about how our hotel was a suitable place for a raping. It was wonderful. Yeah, it was wonderful. And these two are now divorced or separated and their babies between them, right? So now Steve's a fun guy. That was a hell of a trip, dude. That was a hell of a trip. I don't even know if I want to keep hitting the arrow button because you're like afraid what you'll actually see.
Like what next?
Like what next? Me and Mike Lehman from Gourmet Rodent, the owner of Gourmet, and Cheyenne and Gabe back in the background. Yeah, that was me on the podcast. So those were the days. I don't know where that escalator pick is though, bro. I really don't know where it is, but it was here somewhere. Because that was a fun trip, and we rode I was going to the talks upstairs, and I jumped on the escalator, and Ricky backed me up.
Great.
Hey, look, I'll pull this up just in case she comes on. There's Rayana. I'm not sure you're there in the chat tonight, but hey, Ray, you're all grown up now. I can imagine this girl now. I mean, at 2016, this little girl's almost grown up now, and still in the game, still collecting snakes and stuff. Time flies. Yep, time flies. Because there's my little one, and she's 10 now. She's almost 10.
Isn't that crazy?
She's 10 this month.
That's
She's
awesome.
10 this month, bro.
That's really
cool. Yeah, there she is with me at a reptile show, but she was tiny. Look, there's one of the first scaleless balls.
Yeah.
At Maria let me hold that. Chase had those scaleless balls.
Yep.
When I showed her the first ones, my iguana land shirt. Bro, the years we've been through, the things we've done, the people we've met, the reptiles we've made.
It's been very cool. It's been very
I've had
cool.
fun being around you, bro.
And
I hope we have more fun.
Yeah, I agree, man. You know, like I said, nothing but love from this end. You know,
thank you for coming on.
You're welcome. There's a lot of craziness out there. You know, I see what these other guys are doing. I'm like, look, man, I don't want the drama. I just want to do what I do.
No, this is not. I think now is the time that animals can be either educational or entertaining or overall therapeutic. Yeah. And I think that if we're going to spend drama and we're going to have energy wasted, it should be wasted in the way of writing letters for USARC and being an overall cunt to the world of people that don't like us or understand what we do. We love you, Matt, says the Savages.
Thank you.
You know, and
great
them
people.
two are great. They're wonderful.
Likewise. Back at you.
You know, even though they're leaving me as a sponsor for a little bit, they're absolutely fabulous people. And I wouldn't have got this podcast off the ground without them.
No,
and I definitely would not be around and have things without Ricky taking back off my hands and me not having to worry about her horse things and stuff. That's really great. I appreciate that. Can you hang around for me for a minute after the show? Just for a second or a few minutes?
For sure, man. And
thank you very much for doing this long one.
And one parting comment. Just one parting comment. And you know, for anybody that sees this, two things you got to do. You have to have redundancy on an incubator. Every incubator in your shop better have 2 thermostats on it. And you better have something like sensor push inside your facility, because you know, we got a buddy down here just lost a ton of stuff, and I would never blame him for doing anything wrong. It's simply that's the artifact of what happens. My sensor push has saved me, dude. I get a high temperature alarm. I'm like, holy cow, the AC's not running. It's 87 degrees, you know? So again, my heart goes out to, and then, you know, y'all probably know who it is when you have to say any words. Simply, you got to have redundancy, man. You have to, if you can't afford 2 thermostats on an incubator and you've got a $20,000 collection of snakes, you're doing something wrong. You know, and I'm not trying to be high and mighty. I'm just telling people you have to protect these animals in some form or fashion, and that's the kind of stuff you got to do. I mean,
tighten down those
fire alarms, you know,
tighten down those probes on your racks too.
Yes,
secure the shit out of your probes, because when your probe comes off your rack and your thermostat defaults to room temperature and heats that bitch up, you might not luck out, especially with tubs like what he has behind him. Because when it happened to me, all my snakes were plastered against the front of the tubs, and I knew what was problem, and I immediately ran to it and said, yo, this needs to be changed, and we need to do this and handle it. So, all right, brother. River Rat, Jarrett, thank you very much for your support. And he saes, thanks, Matt. Thanks,
thank you,
Sean.
sir.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
You're absolutely welcome. Jason Earl, good night to you too. This was a great show. If you are a herp lover, not a ball python only lover, but a turtle, tortoise, frog, lizard, that we covered the fucking gamut tonight. We've never covered the gamut like this on a bullshit podcast.
We didn't even talk about uromastics. I used to breed uromastics.
Didn't get into uromastics.
I know all kinds of stuff.
Let's do that. Let's make a list of other things you have done that aren't on monkeyfrog.com and maybe get off your ass and make MattJReptiles.com so that I can send people to you there instead of having to refer just to your MorphMarket, which I will do right now. It is morphmarket.com/stores/MattJ Reptiles. You can check him out.
Facebook.
All right. Instagram, Facebook, all that type of stuff. He needs more ratings when you buy from him. So I can't even get on him about what I was going to get on him about.
I never even used that feature for years. I just never even did it.
Right.
I just deleted the ads, man. I was like, I'm just going to delete them and that's all.
Right.
But what I started doing was as soon as I would send the rating to the buyer, I would, as soon as they did their part, I would go ahead and rate them as a buyer. And
exactly.
I'm like, hey man, they were great. They were timely. Their payment plan
reciprocated rating.
Oh yeah,
that's
man,
it. And I love that you did that, right? So even though we couldn't see that you did that on that screen, we know that you did that because you just said that you did that.
And I haven't listened to anything on MorphMarket in forever, so I just put some stuff up not too long ago, and I've just been lazy. It's just a lot going on. Soccer with 3 kids, and it's craziness. So. No complaints.
But look, I want to bring you to. I want to address something real quick for you right there, and I want to see if I can pull it up here. If I can, I can't even search for it. Like, God damn, you guys got to start putting You guys got to figure out some keywords for your podcast, ladies. Holdback Rack podcast. All right, guys. Shameless plug of the week. Shameless plug of every fucking night I do this fucking show. I plug these 2 bitches. I don't plug either one of them in real life though. So like I get it, right? But yeah, I'm gonna do. This is all for you, Lindsay. Just because you're gorgeous and I want to help you out, right? I want to put your girls at the top of the list, right? I want to put your girls at the top of the list and say these girls cover some cool shit on their show, bro.
Excellent.
Holdback Rack podcast, climbing in the subscribers. Actually, I think they're gaining them faster than me. And I even had to make a goddamn giant global display of myself a few weeks ago to get subscribers. For fuck's sake. And these babies got it. These women have it. This is the thing. Ball python stonks. Okay. Ball python stonks. Can you see what this girl did, bro? She charted it from MorphMarket, Holmes. She charted it.
As a scientist, I'm a data guy, so I'm good with that.
Okay, cool. Right. Well, as a loser, I'm a crypto guy.
Oh, loser.
So I follow charts, right?
Come on.
So no, I'm not kidding you, dude. I totally bet against the market. I totally have been thinking that everything was going to keep crashing. If you have anything to do with crypto this week, you have seen Bitcoin go from 16 grand to 21 grand in a couple of days, and it smoked me. I had a $6,500 leverage trading account that is now worth 28 cents.
Jesus.
Yeah. Smoked. Like I said, losers like me like graphs, right? Losers like me love graphs. You know what I'm saying? Man. You are welcome. The work you put into this podcast needs to be recognized, girl. So she went through and look, you see the disparity in male and females in genetic stripes across the years. So I've been discussing this with MorphMarket and hoping that guys like you would stop deleting your ads and start putting more data in. By like putting all of your inventory in and removing all of it and saying this sold on MorphMarket and this sold elsewhere, right? And do it properly. Because if you do, we can actually develop some sort of a meter on this thing. And MorphMarket is built for it. Okay. Yes, exactly. All of the metrics for all of, all the data that we need to graph basic ideas is already there, and I think it could be incredibly helpful to the future of investments.
I liked King Snake, but MorphMarket just went totally.
It blew it away.
Yeah, blew it
away.
Yep.
Well, hey, if you're ever looking for anything to listen to and you don't want to listen to a sausage factory, go to the Holdback Rack podcast and listen to these 2 women talk in ways that is not even possible here.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's it. Don't delete. Tracking is beautiful. That's it. Tracking's beautiful.
Like
Tell all
that.
your friends. I mean, honestly, I like keys.
I track with clothespins, remember?
Yeah, clothespins, right?
That's what I track.
Yeah, that's right. That's how you track. You track them in clothespins. What he's not showing you, is the very fine laser engraving he has on each clothespin with all the data that's really on there. That's really there. He's got a laser
right
like
there.
I do in the background. Yeah, it's right there. Yeah, it's right there.
True story. Yep.
Yeah.
It's all in my
like
head,
when my
man.
balls were still here, people would come over and they would say, for as scatterbrained as that motherfucker is in that wheelchair, he knows where every single snake is in that building.
Yep. Go straight to it.
Yeah,
bam, instantaneously. Yep.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you very much
so
for a golden night. Sit aside
Good
for me
fun.
just a second, and I'll be right back with you.
Thanks, folks. Appreciate it. See ya.
Good night. Everyone, that was a great night. Limey, thank you much for being here for a long, long time tonight. I appreciate it very much. Matt Jablonski and I go way back, almost as way back as Limey Smidger and I go back, but not quite as long, but almost so long that we can do 3 hours of podcasting like that. Like that, man. You say 3 hours. Yeah, it's 3 hours and 1 minute if you listen to the audio version. All right. So get back down there and click some links on this thing. Okay. Click the like, the subscribe, the notification bell, all that stuff. This dude right here, golden in my eyes, one of my best guests I've ever had, one of my best friends in this business that I've barely talked to in 22 years. This is the longest he and I've ever spent together. I really would honestly say I've never spent this much time with that man in one-on-one. Not even when Josh Jensen was pretending to be a karate chopping. What did he tell me he was? A figure skater, professional figure skater. He's been a sumo wrestler that couldn't gain weight. He's been so many things. And maybe, just maybe, me and this girl will get that ABCs of Ball Pythons podcast off the ground, and Josh Jensen will be one of our first guests since Acid starts with an A, and it's one of the first ones. So I hear his name coming up more and more. So the fact that Jablonski tonight said his name is almost a signal that I need to shout out to him to maybe be an what should I do, a Josh Jensen feature show, guys? I mean, tell me if I'm gonna have. Look, I brought you back for a second, Matt. If I'm gonna have Josh Jensen on this show,
I wasn't picking my nose.
If I'm gonna, no, I was watching. I was being sure you had your shirt on and shit. You put your nuts away a minute ago. I was being sure you tucked them back in the pouch. The kangaroo wasn't out of the pouch. I got you. How should I interview Jensen? I mean, should I have him on like a feature episode like Josh Jensen, or should I just put him on an After Dark and just get his opinions?
That's a tough one.
He's a funny guy.
I'd almost do the After Dark because
make it casual.
Yeah, he can kind of uncork here and there on stuff, and I
like that.
Yeah, he's
I like that because the last performance that I recorded with him, he made me delete. After he couldn't eat. Well, I had it on Facebook 20 hours or so maybe 12 hours on Facebook. Yeah. And then he sat down to a steak dinner before the auction. Mm-hmm. And his friend's like, bro, you let Bradley put you up like that? And he's like, what do you mean? And he's like, last night, man. And he's like, I don't remember anything. And he's like, what? And then he's like, what, bro? Like, check it out, dude. Like, what? Like, what? And Josh said, I've never had a yummier steak sit untouched and be thrown away in my life. Wow. He's like, I lost my entire appetite. And I was like, bro, if you would have let me air that, you would be fucking famous and everyone would love the shit out of you.
Yeah. No
because
doubt.
He was being a funny asshole. He wasn't being a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
He was being fun. I did not know him.
Yeah.
I did not care about J Royals. I did not care about acid ball pythons. Yep. It was one of my last, well, no, it was like 2 years before my last show.
Yeah.
2018. Okay. He is totally fucked up at 8:00 at night on Friday. And I'm like, is this baby's first show? I think this is baby's first show. Did anybody ever bring baby to a New Kids on the Block concert when he was young so he could learn how to do this? Like, baby needs to learn how to party, you know? And then, not wild, Josh, man. The other guy, Jay in J Royals. And that was the thing. He comes up and he's like talking to me like I know him.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like,
you've known him 20 years.
Who the fuck are you, bro? And so wait, I have my little DAT recorder.
Yep.
And I just hit record.
Yeah,
I just hit the fucking, and I set it on my lap, dude. I set it on my lap. This motherfucker to the moon, bro. Like he's going on.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
so funny when he goes.
So who are you? and he's like, he points at his shirt and he says, I'm the J in J Royals. I mean, convincingly. And I'm like, what the fuck? Now,
like a comedy routine.
The problem here is that Cindy from King Snake, you know Cindy, right?
Oh, yeah.
PH Faust, Cindy Stanley, right?
Yeah,
Cindy from King Snake is there, and she's recording it too.
Double whammy.
Fuck, right? Double whammy, right?
Oh, it's great.
Oh, God. Unbelievable double whammy.
That's so
if
funny.
you do go and stalk, this is a job for y'all. Cindy's page. It is absolutely on this wall. It has to be on this wall from all those years ago. I'm not going to dig for it. I'll let maybe a savage will go dig for it.
Yeah.
But if you go dig for it, I might link it in his
funny.
episode. Without him knowing, because he's not going to listen to this. He's not going to listen this far. He might listen to it for like 2 hours and he'd be like, fuck this, I'm tired.
Yeah, I'm done. I got to go to
Fuck
bed.
this, I'm tired. That's why I choose to the end to make all the jokes.
Yep.
Because none of them are listening to it by the end. Okay. Let's go to Cindy's page and we'll find it. I'll find the video because she did record it. It's not all of it. It's not all the best parts. But wait, you know what he tells me? Man, back in the early 2000s, there were only 2 breeders that I watched. You and Ralph Davis. Now, you remember Ralph and I had that beef for a minute there. We got kind of staticky for a minute. You know that. Right? We went through it, right?
Yep.
He says to me, dude, you are the king of ball pythons.
Oh, God.
Cindy goes, what? I got that shit on film. I got it, bro. I got it. I'm like, whoa. He said, you were the king. And I said, would you say I was the... And he said, you were a king. And that's what I did. I fed it to him because he was so fucked up. And I was like, Josh, would you say that I was like the king of ball pythons? And he's like, oh, bro, you were the king of ball pythons. And I was like, Cindy, did you get that? Be sure you send that fucking shit to Ralph.
Because it's going right to Ralph.
Right to Ralph, right to Ralph. Dude, I'm not going to lie to you that Ralph never got that. And I'm so glad because I never meant it like that. It was just a funny joke for him because I would never try to take Ralph's thunder. Ralph was a giant and I will never be Ralph. Ralph lived the time that I can't live. You know what Ralph lived? The time you could have lived if you weren't so fucking scared of money. Scared of spending. If you would have went out there, bro, and just swung for the fences, like if you just spent that 20, 30, like you're doing right, like the pied blood right now, right? If you just went, fuck it, I'm doing this. I'm buying this. Fuck it, I'm buying this.
Yep. That was the time, dude.
Be a giant, bro. Matt,
dude.
you're awesome, bro. You're a family man. You're a father. You're a good man. You got good fabric. If you would have come up with, if you would have been one of those mountain guys like that, you'd probably fucked it up like most of them did.
Exactly.
I fucked it up like I did. How about that? That's how.
Well, that's what we can do. If we do a second one, man, we can talk about all the shoulda, woulda, couldas, man. Because I've got.
Let's do a shoulda, woulda, coulda episode though, on purpose.
So many things that slipped through my hands, things that I did, stupid stuff, and I'm like, I can't believe I sold.
Right.
I sold.
This is all in the name of J and J Royals too, which is awesome. This is all in Josh's name. We can have Josh on too. You know what we can do? If you want to do this, this would be an interesting idea, bro. And you would be perfect to help me with this. Let's find at least 1 or 2 other guys like us in our circle that fucked up a bunch, and let's just have a fuck up episode.
Talk about all the terrible things.
Yeah, let's do all the stupid shit. Let's be like, oh man, you wouldn't believe the time I put my eggs on the incubator shelf in there, and it couldn't dissipate heat, and I killed. I killed 7 clutches.
Things, man.
I killed 7 clutches of world's first ball pythons the day before Daytona.
Unbelievable.
Literally called Tim and said, come over so we can throw them away. So that we can throw them away. And we're literally throwing away world's first. It's like 7 clutches of them. Gone. Because my girlfriend broke up with me and I was stupid and I left the eggs on the counter. And the day after that shit, my girlfriend got back together with me and I was like, fuck, it was all for nothing.
Exactly. Emotional responses.
Well, guess what wasn't all for nothing? Every minute of tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, it's fun.
Appreciate
it was fun stuff. Likewise.
Good deal, bro. Hang tight. I'm really coming back.
We'll do.
And I'll bring you back on. You can you can scratch your nuts now. It's fine. All right. Good night. See you. Oh, yeah. This dude's great. All right, I got to get off or I'll keep going. Got to get off. That's just a wheelchair thing, I guess. I can't get off. I can't. No matter how exciting I get, no matter how excited I get, no matter how much Jesus River Rat Reptiles gives me. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you, River Rat, for being a Patreon sponsor. Okay, look, I'm going to plug this. Now I've been doing good work. I've brought you guys some giants. I brought you some people like this guy tonight that have never been on a podcast. I've brought you Todd Goodman in 2.5 hours of just amazement. One of the veterinarians that's responsible for turning out more exotic veterinary knowledge in students than anyone I've ever met. I'm literally plugging myself right now by saying I am working for this. I care about this. I do not wake up in the morning and have interviews fall in my lap. However, sometimes when people's business is not doing so well, they hit me up and say I need to be on a show. And that has happened, and that's fine. But Matt Jablonski was not that guy. So it was not him that did that, but it was somebody else that did that. And you know what? As a brother from another mother and somebody who loves topics of all kinds, I'm all about it. And we're going to bring you so many cool new things. What did I do? Found it. Bingo. All right, we'll play it on another show, but we ain't going to play it tonight. I will let you guys know. Like and subscribe, and if I can tell that you're a subscriber, I'll send you the link. Any more fake shit? What's fake? I don't know. I wasn't fake. Wasn't me. I don't know what that was to. But yeah, so you're going to send it to me. And honestly, listen, this is just really... thank you for bringing these guests on. No one else can get these people to share these stories. Thank you, man. Thank you for recognizing that, because that's really how I feel. Okay. That's really how I feel. All right, Jason, I'm really leaving now too. Good night. Y'all have a great night. And I might see you live on Friday for the Mega Man himself, Pete Call. I mean, I'm pretty sure his arm does turn into a fucking cannon, just like Mega Man. I'm pretty sure in his own mind right now, if I called him, his mind would be like Mega Mind would be like with the cannon. Oh, bro, you had to send me that right now. I got to show the animation. You can't hear the sound. You can't hear the dude. You can't hear him at all because it's Facebook. And I don't have the video saved or whatever. But this is my dear Jay and Jay Royal. Oh, go back to the thing. Come on, play. I mean, just the mannerisms. This was at 9 o'clock, 10:40 on a Friday. There's Jared Smith. Jared Smith was there. Bro, say you weren't there. This is a fucking hilarious video, guys. Like, this is really good shit. He's like, he's like, I'm a professional figure skater. I'm a fighter. I was a UFC fighter. It's all kinds of funny shit. So yeah, we have to get on with that. It's absolutely wonderful. I hope he's not mad about it, but I really truly think that we need to laugh about these type of things. So good night. I love you guys. If I'm doing great, oh, I see that, Melanie. I got you. Yep. Fake shit. No, nothing else. Everything has been perfect. I haven't gotten an apology like all the other people, but if we can open a door to betterment of reptiles and reptile people, if I was the one that had any part in opening that door, I'm glad to have been a part of that. I would love to still be a part of a positive reptile podcast with that man. I think he has a ton of energy. I think he knows a lot of people. I think he has a lot of insight and stuff that I don't have. And I would have loved to have conducted a wonderful show with him. And I will maybe do that one day when he's growing up enough to realize what the fuck we're doing here. Because it took me a while to realize that. So I did some funny shit and whatever. Oh, he said I sold people fake hats. I hit up the guy about the hats and stuff, and he refuses to contact me to work on anything. His complaint. So if you have a complaint and you refuse to work with me on it, and your grudge is that grudged, then fuck, what do you want me to do about it? Like, really, I see the guy in the green room throwing his arms up with me. Like, he's literally like, what the fuck, bro? Like, that's it. I mean, he looks the same as me. We'll talk about it in a second. That way you guys can listen to it on the audio version, because I'm getting the fuck out of here right now. Bye. Just like that. Bye.